I think this is blue.
Yeah, the bush blue. This one flows nicer. I mean,
$5 one. I wouldn't give him the best one.
He's got a good one. Sorry everyone, our meeting states it's going to start at 9 o'clock, so by code we're supposed to wait till 9 o'clock, so appreciate everyone coming early. I know it's hot. Feel free to adjust the windows as necessary during the meeting. Keep everyone comfortable, please. If you hadn't had a chance to sign in yet, there's a sign-in paper along the wall over there. We brought some more sheets up, so if anyone has a chance to sign in, please do so for the record, please. Before, during, or after is fine, so yeah. Okay, thank you for coming everyone this morning. Let's start our meeting with a moment of silence, please. Okay, first thing this morning we need to do is approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Support.
Is there any corrections, deletions, or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We do have a public comment period. If you're here for the shooting range, I'd ask that you reserve your comments during the public hearing at that time. If you have any other thing you'd like to speak on before we go through our meeting, please come forward and state your name, address, and what your concerns are. Okay. First, we have a resolution 2019-12. This is a preliminary official statement. Whereas we keep moving down the road of the communication system, this is an agreement not to exceed bonding $5.5 million. I can just read the whole resolution, everybody understands what we're looking at. Whereas the Board of Supervisors of Mahaska County, State of Iowa, has hereto proposed to enter in a general obligation loan agreement in a principal amount not to exceed $5.5 million pursuant to the provisions of Section 331-402 of the Code of Iowa for the purpose of acquiring emergency services communication equipment and has published notice and held a hearing on the proposal. And whereas the county intends to enter into a loan agreement and to issue general obligation emergency services communication equipment bonds in an amount not to exceed $5,115,000. Whereas a preliminary official statement has been prepared in connection with the sale of the bonds, and it is now necessary to make provision for the approval of the preliminary official statement and to authorize its use by Northland Securities Incorporated. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Mahaska County, Iowa, as follows. The use by Northern Securities Incorporated of the preliminary official statement relating to the bonds in substantially the form as has been presented to and considered by the Board of Supervisors is hereby approved, and Northern Securities Incorporated is hereby authorized to prepare and use a final official statement for the bonds substantially in the form of the preliminary official statement, but with such changes therein as are required to conform the same to the terms of the bonds and the resolution. When adopted, providing for the issuance of the bonds, and the county auditor is hereby authorized and directed to execute a final official statement for the bonds, if requested. The preliminary official statement, as of its date, is deemed final by the county within the meaning of Rule 15C2-12 of the Securities and Exchange Commission. All resolutions or parts thereof in conflict herewith are hereby repealed to the extent of such conflict. Heidi, this is Heidi Kuhl from Northern Securities. Would you like to have anything to add or say?
Just that, today the board is considering the preliminary official statement This is the document that is used when the bonds go out to sell. So the investors look at this document to determine the financial stability of the county. At this time, the board will be looking. It's just a preliminary official statement. If there is any corrections at this or that you see in the document, you could still go ahead and approve that today, and any corrections you can go through Sue and I to put on that. But it has been prepared and given to the board for review.
Okay, thank you. You gentlemen had a chance to review it. Any concerns, modifications, changes?
Well, you said $5,115,000 on this thing here, so $105,000.
5,115,000.
You said that on our agenda it's got down 5,105.
Correct. We're not to exceed 5.5. But I think the preliminary also says not to exceed 5,115,000.
So correct. The not to exceed amount was the 5.5, which is the board has voted on. As interest rates move, that we're looking at that 5,505,000 right now as of the current interest rates. So it can adjust as those interest rates do. And then up until you go to the bond market on April 11th, then we'll have those final numbers. So the numbers do kind of shift around, but that not to exceed amount of the 5.5 gives you that room to shift.
We're hoping not to lose it all.
Yeah,
right. And so right now we're approximately 400,000 underneath the not to exceed amount.
And I think the closing date, the date we're hoping to have our bond money is middle of June. So this is one more step. Right now we're paying for the expenses out of our account, borrowing money against ourselves. We have to pay ourselves back before we get into the physical year. So.
I could go ahead and go through this finance plan, or is it the next item on the agenda?
It's the next item on the agenda.
Next item on the agenda. Sure, that'll answer a few of these questions.
But if you'd like to, we can put.
Sure.
It might help answer some questions.
Sure. Well, and I'll start off with this finance plan that I believe the county has received. Go ahead and pass these on down. So this bond issuance is for the E911 equipment, and it'll be paid back semi-annual payments. We put some average interest rates right now. Later today, the county will be going in front of S&P, the rating agency, to get the county rating. This happened with your last bond issuances. What it does is validates the financials of the county, and that rating allows for a better interest rate rather than going to it with a non-rating. So we're estimating that with the last issuance it was a AA minus. If everything would stay the same, you're looking at approximately a rate of just about 3%, 3.08. And we have a little bit of cushion in there, so we're hoping that we can make it a little better. The rates have been going down ever since November of last year, so if we continue that will be right around that 3% number. Expect that these will be paid by the debt service levy. There will be tax-exempt bonds, BQ bonds, which are bonds that when the county issues less than $10 million in a calendar year, there's interest savings as well. So we've looked at that as well. On this page 3, we have a calendar of events. Earlier this year, you've set and held your hearing for this. And today, looking at the preliminary official statements, taking a look at the finance plan, today we'll be going to the rating agency. We'll be getting that back, going to the market on April 11th, and then we'll be coming back on the 15th with those interest rates. That's the day that you lock in those interest rates. A couple weeks from then, we'll come back again with the issuance resolution, which makes everything legal, allows you to have that tax exempt status. That'll come from your bond attorneys, and then your estimated closing date of May 21st.
I know when we get through a few more steps here, Jeff Heil is going to contact me. We're going to work with the 911 board, drop a contract to cover $1 million of the radio cost, which will reduce the amount we have to charge levy on the property tax owners for the radios. So there's some more things you have to work through as this moves along.
Yes, correct. Both my colleague Jeff and I have been working with the county to alleviate the taxpayers' expense as much as possible, and so we're working with the county.
Yeah. So just so everybody's on the same page with moving forward.
And then the next page is we're showing just an estimated payment schedule for these bonds. It may shift a little bit as we go to market, but that's not really everything else.
So I assume you said 2%. You're averaging
Right. You're absolutely right. Bonds are serial, so you have a different interest rate for each year. And there's also what we put in. We put in it's called a call date. So those right now we have a 7-year call date in there. So for that first 7 years, you have to make those principal and interest payments. And then after that, essentially you can either prepay, or if interest rates have dropped and stop going to pay. Yes, like a refinance. It's called a refunding in the bond world, but it's exactly like you said. It's like a refinance.
For 7 years.
Yep, we have a 7-year call in there. And you can push it up a little bit, but you see a little bit. You see your rates go up a little bit. So in the Iowa markets, we see about a 6 to 8 year. So we put in that 7-year call date, which is very typical in the markets today.
And that's why we can only pay the allotted principal and premium, not only pay ahead during the first 7 years.
Right.
And that's why it's critical when we work forward with this, and how much money the 911 board can put down up front, because then that will be left at the bar on the interest on for the first 7 years.
Correct.
Any more questions? Thank you, Heidi. There's no other questions. I will entertain a motion to accept the resolution 2019-12.
I move we approve resolution 2019-12.
I second that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of resolution 2019-12, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Heidi.
If you have any questions, if you need anything,
And we're going to see you this afternoon again.
see you this afternoon for that rating call. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Heidi. Need to approve the minutes of this board from March 18 and 19.
I move we approve the minutes of March 18th and 19th.
I second that.
Any corrections or deletions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Approve the March bills. We've all signed off on them earlier. Had a chance to relook at them again.
I make a motion that we pay the month's bills.
Support.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, we have two payroll changes. One for attorney. Andrew had a chance to hire. You want to comment, Andrew?
So as you're aware, Brad took a position in Polk County a few weeks ago, and his full-time position has been open since. We had a number of applicants from the original shared part-time position. So going through that cohort, I made an offer to Cami Elsick to hire her at a rate of $60,000 to begin on April the 8th, a week from today, basically. So that's a little bit lower than what Brad started at, but within that same range.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
You've been a busy office.
Yes, we have a lot of things going on right now. So you can appreciate being at full staff. But yeah, I think she's going to be a good fit, and hopefully she can take over Brad's docket pretty quickly. She's been in private practice for about 11 years now, and has criminal defense work and private work and that sort of thing. So she's kind of familiar with kind of ins and outs.
Sounds good.
I make a motion we approve Camera Elsick.
Cami Elsick.
Elsick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Effective. I'll just make sure the motion is correct. Effective for Monday, April 8th, starting $60,000. Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Andrew. We also have a part-time help for roadside vegetation.
Morning, guys.
Morning, Ben.
Ladies,
Barbie's been helping you for 12 years.
be a 12th year, yeah. Yep.
And you're asking her to start part-time again effective April 1.
Yep, today.
15
Yeah.
15 hours.
Yep.
Make that a motion.
Second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? Anything you'd like to add, Ben? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Thank you, Ben.
You gonna do the week off?
We're not going to have time. We've got started.
I'll come back.
It could be.
I'll wait back.
Sorry, Ben. We're going to skip two parts of our agenda. The public hearing starts at 9:15, so we don't honor that. The code requires that. So, at this time, it is 9:15. We're going to need a motion to go into public hearing concerning the request to use, establish, and maintain a shooting range on the Black Oak Clays located at 1243 180th Street, Section 9 of Black Oak Township.
I make a motion to go into public hearing.
I support that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of going to the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. We're now in public hearing. Andrew, would you please join us? Do you want to just inform the board? I know we've been kind of out of the loose a little bit, what's all been going on, so please just inform us all, and then we'll keep moving forward with the public hearing, please.
Certainly. So I was made aware that Black Oak Clays is operating a shooting range in Mahaska County. And as a part of that facility, they have skeet fields, other kind of improvements to the land in order to facilitate the shooting range. Under Iowa Code 657.9, before a person makes such improvements to a shooting range, like ramparts, breastworks, that sort of thing, it must be approved either by the county zoning commission, which we do not have, or by the board of supervisors. So 657.9 basically means the board has to approve improvements to land to facilitate a shooting range, or if there's substantial change in such shooting range. There has been recent statutory changes in a different part of the code that you should also probably be aware of. Under 481A 123, subsection 7, in 2017, the Iowa legislature passed a amendment to a hunting provision, which states that a owner of private premises may discharge a firearm for the purpose of target shooting, or allow someone else to discharge a firearm for the purpose of target shooting. And if that permission is given on a private land in an unincorporated part of the county, that is not a noise ordinance violation. So in 2017, the legislature did not harmonize all the provisions as relates to shooting ranges and target shooting. But at minimum, it is my opinion that if there are physical improvements to the land in order to facilitate a shooting range, that must be approved. Now, whether if there are no such improvements, whether a person can continue to do target shooting, the act of shooting itself, is a different question, a little more uncertain question, just because the code hasn't reconciled the activity, target shooting, with the land use provision, the shooting range. You see what I'm saying? So that in speaking with the representative for Black Oak Clays, they requested that the board consider under 657.9 whether they would approve the construction of the breastworks, ramparts, things like that, on the shooting range. It's my understanding those have already been constructed at the range, but I would defer to the representative for Black Oak Clays to talk to you exactly on what the improvements to the land has been. With that, do you have any general questions about the provisions or the board's authority, things like that?
Just one, you said section 481, I missed it.
41A, point 123, subsection 7, is a new provision passed by the legislature 2 years ago that talks about target shooting rather than a shooting range. So the activity, target shooting, versus a land use regulation, a shooting range. So those two kind of or cross over each other.
Okay. But the code says that that's not a noise ordinance violation.
It says that a person who, either the owner of a private premises or one they permit to come on their land, can target shoot as long as it's an unincorporated part of the county. And if that happens, then it's not a noise ordinance violation. That's what 41 says.
Okay.
But that being the case, still the board must approve any improvements to the land. So I think the best way to think about it is you can go on your own private land in an unincorporated part of the county and target shoot. But if you want to make that activity a lasting or durable part of the land itself, so you're improving the land in order to facilitate that, that's what needs to be approved.
Okay.
So one's transitory and one's more of a permanent nature.
Okay.
Any other questions?
What brought to your attention? The noise ordinance? Something like that, noise, or the...
So it was originally brought to my attention because of the noise from the shooting range. Because of the use, there has been issues with noise generally. So, again, that does not necessarily mean they cannot target shoot under 41A. That's a little bit more of a tricky question. But if they're improving the land, which it appears that has been the case, those improvements to the land must be approved by the board. So if you have like the skeet ranges and you have the ramparts, things like that, those physical improvements, that's what has to be approved.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
So in order for us to do that, pass a permit, do we just need to know the general area just to say permit is granted? We need to have latitude, longitude, specific areas? How detailed do you think this permit has to look or be, or just this section, the township section, within that township section is okay?
Well, I would say something that generally apprises the public of the boundaries of the shooting range itself.
Okay.
So if it's described in a survey of some kind, if it's described in some flat, something, so you know the boundaries of that range. Because if there are substantial changes to the range in the future, let's say it's approved, but it's expanded in some way, or more buildings are added, things like that, those additional changes would also need to be approved as well. So if there's ever a substantial change going forward, that also needs board approval. So from the board's position, you need to know the geographic boundaries of the range in case it exceeds those boundaries in the future, which the board would also need to approve if that ever happened down the road. One other point of just procedure that you should be aware of. So in 657.9, it says that the board must comply with the notice provisions of 335.6. That's the reason for the public hearing today. That's a required step in the process to consider and potentially approve such a improvement to land. Under 335.6, it also talks about that if the regulation or boundary or motion is to be adopted, the board also has to follow the provisions of 331.302, which talks about if it's treated as an ordinance, passage at 3 consecutive meetings. If it's treated as a resolution, it could be treated at 1 vote. So depending how the board sees it, if you consider it more as an ordinance or more as a resolution, it kind of changes the procedure about how many votes there has to be in the time frame. So if there's no other general questions, I can turn it over to the board to at least listen to the proposal by Black Oak Clays. Oh,
You
yes.
said you have the permission to do this here, an ordinance or something. A lot of people shed out of my place. Do I have to have the supervisor to get permission to do it too? It just applies to shooting ranges or what?
So, in 41A 123, it is a hunting provision. It makes a general prohibition on shooting within, I believe it's 200 yards. Yes, that a person cannot discharge a firearm or attempt to shoot game or fur-bearing animal within 200 yards of a building inhabited by people or livestock unless that person gets permission. So if you're within 200 feet and you're attempting to shoot some fur-bearing animal, let's say, 200 yards, you need approval or permission by the other adjoining landowners. If you're beyond that 200-yard restriction area, under 41A 123.7, you can target shoot on your land without permission of any of the authority, assuming it's unincorporated, part of the county. You see. So again, 41A is talking about the activity of target shooting, what you do, and 657 is a land use regulation. What can you build on your land in order to facilitate that activity? You see what I'm saying? So that's the distinction that I would see between those two sections.
But these Iowa codes you quoted are just shooting ranges only.
No. So 41A does not specifically apply to shooting ranges. It's a general provision that talks about target shooting, whether it be a private person or otherwise, target shooting in an unincorporated part of the county. Right? So that doesn't necessarily exclusively apply to a shooting range. It's just a general provision. Whereas the shooting range provision of 657 only applies to a shooting range that's going to be established, used, and maintained as such, and there's going to be physical improvements to the land to facilitate that range. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Any other questions? Okay, excellent.
Thank you, Andrew.
Not a problem.
Mr. Vandernoy? Yeah, either one. Representative? Yep, that's fine.
Comments?
Yes.
Yeah, please do.
The reason we're asking is you're the person requesting a permit, so
Right.
we'd like to hear from the
You will.
from the party that's
Yes, if you will. I'd just like to make some introductory comments.
sounds good.
My name is Fred Krankus. I'm an attorney, and I represent Black Oak Clays and Mike and Sharon Vandenoord. Thank you, first of all, for having us today on April Fool's Day. I don't mean to be joking about this. This is a very important matter, and as we were preparing for this, it occurred to me that this is not just about Black Oak Clays or Mike and Sharon Vandenoord. It's about a lot of young people who are enjoying the sport of shooting. And I think the notice that went out invited anyone who has an interest in this matter to speak. You might hear from quite a few people. And you know Mike and Sharon, they're sitting right here in the front row. There are also several other people who would like to speak today. I don't know who they are. I've not met them.
There's going to be time for public comments. I just want to hear from the committee first.
You will. Okay, thank you. With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to hand each of you a packet that I put together just for information purposes. I find that it's helpful for us in preparing and for you folks to have some information about Black Oak Clays and the Pella shooting team, Pella Christian shooting team. So what I did, there is a Black Oak Clays website, which you probably have looked at. So we printed some pages from the Black Oak Clays website, and we pulled information from other sources. And you can have that to study at your leisure. The cover page, interestingly, is a sign that's not out on a public road, but it's a sign that's well back away from the public road. And we can talk about the specifics that are in that packet, but I want you to have that so you can study it at your leisure. We also, as you know, extended an invitation to each of you and to Mr. Ritland to come and visit. And I understand that you may not have deemed it appropriate to visit before this meeting, but that invitation stands. You're welcome to come out and look. This is private property. Mike and Sharon Vandenord, as you know, they also own a company called Pella Security, Inc. They make gun safes. I'm sure you're all familiar with the location of their gun safe business. On the front of the building by the highway at the intersection of Cordova and 163, there's a sign that says Public Showroom. You're welcome to stop by at any time. Sharon will probably greet you and show you around. That's a public showroom. Black Oak Clays is private property. People participate in this event at the Black Oak Clays site only by invitation, so to speak, of Mike and Sharon Vandenord. I appreciate Mr. Ritland. He and I have had several good conversations about this matter. I think it's safe to say that we agree to disagree on a couple things, but that's what attorneys do, and we recognize that this is not a court of law. We're not asking you to resolve our legal differences, but we are asking you to approve, as Mr. Ritland stated, whatever improvements have been made at Black Oak Clays. Incidentally, we have not been told what actually needs to be improved. I'm not sure anybody's come out to look, point out to us what we have done that violates this statute, and that's one of the reasons why we invited everybody to come out and look. The statute, as Mr. Ritland pointed out, states that before an owner of property makes improvements, we're supposed to get the approval of the Board of Supervisors. That was not done. No one has ever pointed out to Mike and Sharon that approval of the Board of Supervisors was required. Mike and Sharon have been involved in shooting for many, many years, all around the area on a state level. They've been involved with several shooting teams and several shooting ranges, and interestingly, no one has ever mentioned that approval of the Board of Supervisors or the Zoning Commission would be required. So that's the context. We're not making excuses. We're just saying we were unaware of the requirement that this approval was required. So in effect, we're asking today that the Board of Supervisors approve, preferably by resolution. If I understood Mr. Ritland correctly, it could be done with one vote. Approval of whatever we've done there. Now, maybe you need to know specifically what it is you're approving. Again, you're welcome to come out and look. We'd be happy to show you around. I had never been out there. I've been working for Mike and Sharon for many years, and incidentally, I have a lot of great clients, but I don't have any clients that are better than Mike and Sharon. These are people that I think everybody would be proud of. And if other folks in the audience talk about Mike and Sharon, you're going to hear some very glowing remarks about Mike and Sharon and what they're doing for young people and teaching them this sport. This is a passion of theirs. It's not their primary business. They're not making money at this. Their business is Pella Security, making gun safes. If you ever go to gun shows or the state fair, you'll find Mike there. That's how they make their living. They don't make their living with Black Oak Clays and the fellow shooting team. They don't break even at this. This is something they want to do for the young people so that young people have an opportunity to shoot. This all originated, which Mike will explain to you, because the fellow shooting team did not have a place to practice. And Mike had constructed his new facility at the corner of the intersection of Cordova and Highway 163, so he knew that the county did not have any zoning ordinances. He didn't have any idea that approval would be required. And as you know today, we're dealing with a state law. There is no zoning in Mahaska County. There's no noise ordinance in Mahaska County. The statute that Mr. Retland cites concerning Board of Supervisors approval says nothing about noise, nothing. The statute that he's also cited to you, 481A.123, subparagraph 7, says any owner of private property has the right to shoot. Anybody that they give consent to come on their land may do the target shooting, and such target shooting is not a violation of a noise ordinance. It's not a nuisance, and it's not otherwise prohibited. That's expressly what the statute says. And I included that statute in your packet. You're welcome to look at it at your leisure. This is not a Second Amendment issue. We're not here to talk about the Second Amendment issue. Mr. and Mrs. Vandenord have used this range for many years, and like I said, what we're simply asking the Board of Supervisors to do today is approve whatever improvements. I don't think the word improvements is actually used in the statute. It talks about constructing buildings, and there's a couple of other words that we didn't even recognize, and other works. So whatever we've done out there, we're asking the Board of Supervisors to approve. Mike would like to make a statement. His statement is also in the packet, so you can read it. But he's going to say what he needs to say. We'll answer questions, share whatever information you need from us. We're here to be as open and transparent as possible. So if you have questions of me, I'm more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'll turn it over to Mike. And then, like I said, I'm sure there are several people here that might want to add their comments as well. So with your permission, if you don't have any questions from me, I'd give Mike an opportunity to speak next. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Mike Vandenord. I reside at 1243 180th Street, Pella, Iowa. I am here today on behalf of Black Oak Clays, LLC, to start the process of approval of shooting range improvements at 1243 180th Street, Pella, Iowa. The range is located in Black Oak Township and in the middle of Section 9. A few points before I continue. We are requesting from the Board of Supervisors approval for the improvements that we have done to improve the Black Oak Clays range. No one has told us exactly what we need for approval for. However, the 2 skeet fields and other items might be considered under property improvements. We were unaware that prior approval was needed before construction of these fields. Through all of our involvement in the sport all over the state of Iowa over the past several years, no one has ever mentioned this, and to this day we have not found another range that has been required to seek this approval. That said, we are good citizens, and we are here today to try to satisfy any concerns that you might have. After reviewing the law with legal counsel, the law allows us to have and maintain a shooting range on our property, and any invited guests are able to shoot. We do not need county approval or Board of Supervisors approval to be able to use our property in this manner, in accordance with Iowa Code Section 481A. A copy is located in your packet. We are here today because we were informed that we must seek such approval for the improvements before using the range again by the Mahaska County Attorney. Although we have not been told what those improvements are. Last week we extended an invitation to come and look, but to the best of our knowledge, no one has accepted that invitation yet. My wife and I have owned the property since 1998. Black Oak Clays has been in existence as a registered range with the National Sporting Clays Association since 2017. But prior to that, we had used that area for practicing clay target shooting for many years. I have also been the head coach for the Pellet Shooters Club for the last 13 years. The Pellet Shooters Club is a part of a statewide and national shooting program called Scholastic Clay Target Program, or SCTP. This program allows students from 4th grade to 12th grade and also collegiate levels to compete in clay target shooting disciplines such as trap, skeet, sporting clays, and Olympic-style skeet competitions. We only compete or hold competitions in trap, skeet, and sporting clays disciplines. This sport has rapidly grown in the recent years. There are numerous SCTP teams in this area. The Pellet Shooting Club currently has 46 athletes, 1/4 of which are girls. Black Oak Clays were started because of the lack of ranges to practice and to be able to hold events where all participants would be treated fairly and equally in all competitions. Last year we hosted the State SCTP Sporting Clays Championship with 218 participating in this event from all over the state. We also hold registered sporting clays events. These are usually one-day events that start at 8 a.m. and are usually completed by 5 p.m. or dusk. We have 8 registered events scheduled for this year and 4 SCTP competitions scheduled, the same as last year. The SCTP season begins mid-March through the end of June. The Pellet team practices 2 nights a week from 4 p.m. to dusk. The Newton team uses the range for practice once in a while as well. I also give private shooting lessons from time to time. My family also uses the facility for practice also. The range is open to registered participants when we have scheduled events or open practice nights. It is not open for anyone to come shoot whenever they want. The events and practice schedules are from mid-March to mid-October, with the majority occurring mid-March to July 1st. There is no high-powered rifle range. It is shotgun only, and all shot fall is on our property. Magnum loads are not allowed, and shot sizes bigger than 7.5 or loads heavier than 1 1/8 ounce are not allowed as well. I am sure that most are unaware that we have invested a large amount of time and money in planning to make sure that Black Oak Clays is a premier range with minimal noise impact, such as direction and location of shooting stations. We are currently surrounded by large trees, which also helps for minimizing any noise. Our property is accessed by a county-maintained public road. There is no traffic down any neighbor's private lanes, property, or driveways to access Black Oak Clays. State law requires that you must be 600 feet from any residence to be able to discharge a firearm. We are more than twice that distance from the closest residence. We also performed a sound decibel test on 180th Street in front of the closest residence located at 1221 80th Street. This is approximately 1,200 feet away. Shooting was done on the closest shooting station using standard 12-gauge loads. The decibel reader only goes as low as 40 decibels on up. An example, 2 people having a normal conversation is 54 to 60 decibels. During this test, we could not get the shooting to register above 42 decibels, but the traffic on Highway 163 at the time of testing would register between 42 to 48 decibels when trucks would pass by. We also ran a test at half that distance by our sign, which is 591 feet away. Decibel levels there were between 52 to 55 decibels. This test was not a scientific test, but was videotaped and put on a flash drive for the Board of Supervisors to view, which I'll give you that pretty soon. In the packet, the Board of Supervisors will find some area maps of Black Oak Clays and some other ranges with distances and locations of private residences in relationship to those ranges, and also a spreadsheet with 14 Iowa ranges and their proximity to private residences. Black Oak Clays is number 4 on the list, with having the farthest, closest residence. Also, for anyone that might suggest that having a local shooting range in your area might mean a loss of value to your property, we have enclosed in your packet an area map of the New Pioneer Gun Club located in Waukee, Iowa. This is one of the busiest ranges in the state, which also has the closest and most residences under 1,000 feet from shooting stations on the range. There has been 2 housing developments and a school all built in the last few years in close proximity to this range. I would also like to read a letter of support from Lonnie and Jean Lanferman, whose driveway is at the entrance to our property and one of our closest neighbors. To whom it may concern, we are unable to attend the hearing regarding the approval of the Black Oak Clays shooting range located at 1243 180th Street. We would, however, like to state our support of the Vanninors and their shooting range. We are their closest neighbors. Our driveways meet at the bottom of the hill. We have no problem at all with the range or the meetings of those who come to the range. The Vanninors are wonderful, helpful people. Respectfully submitted, Lonnie and Jean Lanferman. A copy of this letter is also in your packet. At this time, does the Board of Supervisors have any questions that I can answer for you?
I did receive the invitation, I believe, Thursday. I appreciate that. I probably will next week or this week.
Give us a call anytime. We'll set up a time and reach out to.
I did too. I just wanted to wait till after the public hearing and see what was
Totally
said.
understand that.
Kind of learn a little bit about it, what hours you operated and all that stuff. And,
Sure.
I'd rather come out with questions than just come out to look around.
Absolutely.
Good.
Okay.
I think it's probably important for everyone here to know that this board is not adversarial to what's going on. We have no meat one way or the other. We're just doing our responsibility. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, we need to correct the improvements, and I think
You can see the two
there's a big
steep
map
hills
behind
on
it
that
too.
map.
Yeah, if I may. Are these the improvements that we're going to talk about? The two?
I would assume so, because those were poured sidewalks for walk lanes and two buildings for each field.
I just want to be clarified. Just so
Yeah, we haven't got any indication of exactly what constitutes as an improvement. Does mowing your grass constitute as an improvement to be able to stand in a spot and shoot? You know, it can be a very gray area, I'm afraid.
I do know anytime you build a building out in the unincorporated area, you're supposed to go to the secondary road department to get a permit also. So that's all I can tell you. If you're going 200 feet away and it's an agricultural building, there's no fee. Otherwise, there's a fee if it's for residential or anything else like that too. So.
And we also understand Mahaska County is not zoned, so we can understand why it went the way it did.
Correct.
We didn't go looking for this. I mean, I'm just wanting everybody to know we're not the ones that drove around and found it. So you understand where we're at.
Yep.
So, I mean, I appreciate our attorney has to represent us. So we're gonna stand behind what our attorney says because he's gonna defend whatever action we take. And so I appreciate his time investment as well in informing us of what's all involved. And so, there's a screen there. I brought a big printout map. If anyone wants to see a big printout map of it, I assume that's what we're talking about. Is the improvements?
I'm going to assume so.
Okay. You know more what was improved. I don't have any idea what's improved. I've not been out there. So
Well, yeah, it just depends on what the constitutes as improvement.
we're all learning as we go.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do you have several meets scheduled this week or something for this week?
Well, our practice schedule, for instance, for our team and the Newton team uses the range once in a while as well. That started actually a couple weeks ago. We do have an event scheduled for, I believe it's next weekend, April 8th and 9th, 13th.
I appreciate that question because originally when we received this notice, I called Mr. Rittman immediately. But one of the things I asked him would be, can you defer pursuing this so we can talk about it? And his misquoted statement to me was, well, I'll do whatever the Board of Supervisors directs me to do. And I said, I'd like to be on the agenda. And that's what our letter said on March 21, please put us on the agenda. We did not ask for approval of the shooting range because we don't believe we need approval of the shooting range. The notice that went out says that you're going to talk about approving the shooting range. I don't think we need that. If that's what you want to approve, we're fine with that. But that's not what the statute says. Again, one of the things that Mr. Rittman and I agree to disagree on, maybe. I think the notice is in error in that respect. That said, like Mike is saying, there's a lot of young people that come out to practice. So there's, I don't want to say some urgency about it, but when the weather's good, they want to come out and practice. And we don't want to get crossways with the county attorney. So we'd like the deferral of any kind of action until a final decision is made so that we know that the young people can continue to practice and or hold a competition between now and whenever a final decision is made. That's part of our request here today. We don't want to get crossways with anybody. Actually, until now, there have been some nice days when we've had to tell people, sorry, we're honoring the request of the county attorney. We're not practicing. So we ask you to consider that request today.
Just thinking through this, I I think an individual came and spoke with our county attorney. That's I think what the concern is. And that's what brought it to our attention as well. And so I'm not so sure that the fear, I don't think the fear came from this board of shooting. I think it was from a citizen. And so that's the only thing we're trying to do our responsibility here. As long as are we on both same page with that?
Yep.
Okay.
And I think you ought to ask the crowd if anybody wants to speak against the thing.
Well, I'm gonna look up to anybody.
Yeah.
But if we have any more conversation with maybe first.
I would just like to let everybody know that we did send out a letter to all the landowners within 1 mile, so everybody knows about it. Nobody can say we're not transparent, we're not doing what we need to do. So, and if somebody in that mile radius didn't get one, I'm sorry, but we tried to do the best we could, just so everybody knows that when this is done, it's done. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to open it up to public comments, but before we do, Sue, did you receive any written or oral in your office? We received a bunch of emails. I'll go through the emails before I open it up to the public conference. I'm probably not going to read them all. I will just mention the names for the record. Okay, didn't print all of it, so I'm not going to say it. There's no name with it, I'm not going to say it. From Amy Mathis. The second sentence says, I am full support of allowing Black Oak Clays to continue operating. And so, from Al Peacock, said, I'd like to give support to Mike and Sharon. From Jen Voss, she's requesting approval for Black Oak Clays. Mike Little, I think it's what he said, he's in support of the Black Oak Clays. Bradley Vanderwilt, a member of the Pella shooting team. So he's in favor of favor of the range. Sorry. From Jeff Vanderbeek, is in support of Black Oak Clays. This is Kelly Brooksford. The range has been a great asset to our community. Julie Ridley, her daughter's on the shooting team. Her husband is a coach on the team. She's in support of Black Oak Clays. Ryder Bates is writing on behalf of Black Oak Clays. Carl Swedberg. It's a beautiful and very well-run enterprise. Jennifer Vandenord in support of Black Oak Clays. Trinity Voss. She's a freshman at the Pella Christian High School team, and she's in support of Black Oak Clays. Brooke Gifford is in support of Black Oak Clays. Lynn Gifford. She's in support of Black Oak Clays. Brian Ecoff. He's in support of Black Oak Clays. Ron Ridley. Black Oak is an excellent facility. Jeremy Van Agen is in support of Black Oak Clays. Sharon Anderson, support of what Black Oak Clays is doing. Jeffrey O'Toole is in support of Black Oaks. Larry L. Johnston is in support of Black Oak Clays. Those are the written comments that were received by email. For the record, these are submitted. Have you read through all these, Mike? Okay.
I'm assuming they're all in support.
Okay. I'm just going to say the names in. You guys are comfortable with that for right now? Received a written comment from Benjamin Bartels. Ryan Steinhook. Lynn Gifford. Brooke Gifford. Aaron Mathis. Boyd Mathis. Ryan and Michelle Calderman. Haley Starmer. Travis Eisenbarth. Deacon Yeoman. Chad Byer. Jennifer Byer. Eon Byer. I'm going to be honest, I did receive an email from Ruth DeBryan too, for the record.
And I have one oral comment from Steve Heaton. I think he worked with the Oskaloosa shooting team in support of Black Oak Clays.
I have what two from grandson that shoots the Knoxville and his son-in-law. Very impressed with the Black Oak Clays.
At this time, we'll open up the public comments. I ask that visitors stay respectful. I'm going to limit it to 2 or 3 minutes. And then please come up here and sit down, state your name and address, and your thoughts, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Travis Eisenbarth. I'm the president of the Pella Shooting Club. I live at 1202 East 7th Street in Pella. Mike already outlined for you in his statement quite a bit around what the Scholastic Clay Target Program does for youth shooters, also called SCTP, so I won't go over that again, but to add on to that, with the direct support from the Iowa DNR, youth shooting clubs are a critical portion of the strategy to raise awareness and create enthusiasm for hunting and wildlife preservation for future generations that may have otherwise seen declining interest. This is a great way to connect older and younger generations of shooters. Clubs like ours receive support from numerous conservation groups, including but not limited to Pheasants Forever, Ducks Unlimited, and Total Outdoorsmen. Shooting sports are the fastest growing sports in Iowa. We have an especially high concentration of multidiscipline shooters here in the southeast quadrant of the state who shoot trap, skeet, sporting clays, and even some Olympic prep events. Iowa is well represented on the national stage at the SCTP Nationals in Marengo, Ohio. The DNR is actively seeking to expand further rather than retract on the number of available shooting facilities in this area of the state for continued growth of this important program. The Pella shooting team has 34 boys and 12 girls on the roster this year. Through the generosity of Mike and Sharon Vandenord, their personal commitment of time and capital investment, Black Oak Clays has become a critical facility for the continued growth of the Pella shooting team and neighboring shooting teams that we host. Our shooting team has been blessed with numerous state of Iowa champions and even placing shooters in the top 5 in the nation recently. In conjunction with Black Oak Clays, we hosted the State Sporting Clays Championship for SCTP and the Iowa DNR last season. None of this would be possible without opportunities the Black Oak Clays facility provides for our team. While the Pella shooting team does not seek to cause reasonable inconvenience to any party, we're asking this board to please carefully consider the numerous benefits this range provides our club's athletes and families, this county, and the state of Iowa conservation efforts in your decision. Thanks for your consideration of this matter.
Thank you.
Your time is terrific.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Eric Defending. I reside at 1750 or 1570 Cordova Avenue. As the crow flies, it's about a mile and a half north of Van Nord facility. And 5 years before I purchased my house, I resided at 1752, which is, you can see on the map there, right where Cordova curves just a little bit. Josh DeBryan owns that property now. I lived with him before I purchased my house. With that said, with living within close proximity to the range, and I would just like to say that, you know, the shooting that you hear, and it's just, is very distant, is very light. Yes, you hear it, but in my honest opinion, the highway traffic from 163 is much more of a nuisance. I mean, at my house currently, unless the wind is blowing out of the south, you don't hear it at all. When I lived at the previous address, you would hear it, but like I said, you hear the highway much more than you hear the shooting. I would also like to say that I'm employed at Doug's Four Wheelers, which is less than half a mile south of the facility, and you know, I work my 8 hours a day there while they're shooting. Yes, you hear it. It's not a nuisance. Most of the time we don't even notice it. And then thirdly, I would like to represent myself as the president of the Pella FFA Alumni and Friends, and I know several of these kids from their involvement in FFA and Ag program, and I know their passion for shooting, and how great of a thing it is to teach gun safety to these kids in a world today where everybody's getting afraid of guns and such like that. I know this isn't supposed to be a Second Amendment thing, but at the same time it's a gun safety thing, and that's a huge deal to me. When I was in high school, I'm a 2009 graduate of Pella High School, and we did not have a shooting team when I was there. I would have loved to have done something like this, but it wasn't an opportunity. So now that the Van Nords are offering something like this, that's just a big deal to me, and that's just really a great thing. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Jeff Ridley. I reside at 1984 Fisher Avenue in Lighton. I hold the NRA Shotgun Instructor Certification and the NRA's Range Safety Officer Certification. I'm in my 4th year as one of 23 assistant coaches for the Pella shooting team. I became involved when my 11-year-old daughter Josie came home from school and said she signed up for track. I said, "That's great, we'll buy you running shoes." She says, "No, Dad, not track, trap." I had no idea the Scholastics Play Target program even existed. Today, I know that Iowa student involvement is one of the highest in the nation, with 3,884 student athletes participating in 2018. I think that I can speak freely for all the student athletes that are currently on the Pella shooting team, as well as fellow coaches and parents. Working under the direction of head coach Mike Vandenord has been a wonderful experience. Mike's years of experience and master class shooter expertise brings to the table the highest level of instruction and knowledge that can be found anywhere in the state of Iowa. I've watched many of our athletes grow into great shooters, earning many state championship awards. But I've also watched them grow as mature, responsible individuals who have learned more than just shooting skills. They are held to high academic requirements in accordance with school policy. We emphasize the SCTP's mission statement to teach lifelong skills such as firearm safety, teamwork, respect for self and others, mental focus, and self-discipline. They work extremely hard fundraising for their program, whether it be working banquets for Pheasants Forever, the Total Outdoorsman, tulip time vendor opportunities, as well as biannual can drives. At the beginning of every single practice and every single shooting event, our athletes participate in a safety meeting. We strive very hard to emphasize safety. I'm sure that the number of hours that Mike has committed to the cause over his 13 years as head coach is beyond comprehension, and a number he probably doesn't want to know. What anyone and everyone who has been to Black Oak Clay's range can easily see is he is providing our student athletes a safe, very well-designed shooting range in which they can further develop their shooting skills. The money he has spent to provide our team with the safest, most efficient range is probably a number that his wife doesn't want to know. With the growing number of student athletes in the area and the very limited places in which a team of 46 athletes can all get together and practice, not only encouraged but actually pushed Mike into developing the range. Mike's strong leadership and goal-oriented drive to be the best, to instill being the best you can be in all of our kids, is a highly valued and desirable trait. I pray that you will be able to recognize the importance of Black Oak Clay's shooting range to the Pella shooting team, and know that our 2019 season is upon us now. We ask that you please support our student athletes and Scholastic Play Target program by approving the continued use of Black Oak Clay's shooting range. And I have for each of you here, just because we were able to host the Iowa DNR's state sporting clay shoot last year, our kids did very, very well. This is the results of some of the awards that our kids won, and a nice picture at the end. It was a state deal. We did well, and we hope to do well again this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Byron Ekoff, and I live at 19 Maple Street in Pella. I own H&S Feed Store here in Oski. I'm one of the coaches for the Pella Christian Clay Target team, and I'm here to speak in favor of Black Oak Clay's request to get a permit to operate a shooting range on their property. I, like a lot of people, have a lot of passion for shooting sports. Shooting sports is the fastest growing sport in America. For example, in 2012, Pella Christian Clay Target team was formed with 2 coaches and 6 athletes. This year, in 2019, we have 27 coaches and 91 athletes. The program PC and many other local teams participated in is run by the DNR, and it's called the Scholastic Clay Target Program, or SCTP. PC Eagles uses Black Oak Clays for many of our team competitions. In fact, in 2019, PC had planned on competing in 7 tournaments at Black Oak Clays. Black Oak Clays is ideally located in the state to be utilized by many local teams. In fact, according to the DNR, there are nearly 900 local SCTP athletes within a 50-mile radius of this range. These teams are constantly seeking ranges where they can have their kids compete. Black Oak Clays is set up to handle larger shoots with its multiple fields and shooting stations. It would be highly advantageous to the area to youth teams to have this range stay open. More and more of these local athletes are earning quite high honors, and some are college scholarships north of $25,000. Just this week, PC has had 3 athletes named as 2018 All-Americans for their performances in American ski discipline. It takes local gun ranges to let them achieve their potential. One of the things that drives my passion for this sport is that shooting sports is a generational family activity. I've personally witnessed countless times where grandparents, parents, and children are out on the range enjoying the sport together. The most difficult part of this picture is being able to tell which generation is having the most fun. I think it's grandpa's. Some of my fondest memories growing up is with my father and brothers target shooting and hunting together.
I've been incredibly blessed to be able to do this recently with my sons at Black Oak Clays. This sport has been very positive for my family. The supporters of this range in this room today are passionate volunteers who give freely of their time and personal resources to run these programs. There are many, many other supporters that were unable to get off work to attend this important meeting. Myself and fellow coaches and the 91 athletes on the PC Eagles request the supervisors allow Black Oak Clays to operate as a gun range. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Howdy.
Morning.
Yeah, I think probably a lot of you know who I am by now. Mark Deshadas. I live, Mike says not the closest, but it's just about as close, if not the same as the Lamfermans. And I've got some statements here from others that live in the area too that would all read. But I've got one I've got here. And before I start, these are the best people that I know. And they're all good people. There's no question about it. But the thing of it is that we got put into this position where it's just put a heck of a thing on our quality of our life to have to listen to this day in and day out. How many, just before we start, I'm curious, how many shots did you guys shoot last year? How many clay pigeons did you buy? You probably know how many you bought. 50,000, 100? My estimate is somewhere from 50 to 75,000 shots. But anyhow, we live approximately 1,000 feet from the shooting range and the affected the most on a dead-end lane, and now we have hundreds of cars going by every week. It's taken a toll on the quality of our life. You can hear shooting inside our house in every room. Dinner time, watching TV, grandkids taking a nap. It's bang, bang inside the house. I know we had some decibel comments, and I'd like to welcome the board to come to our house also when you come out to look at the range and listen to see it. It takes on a different meaning when you're there, listening to it day after day than just talking about it. It gets on you, and it's constant. We've talked to realtors in the area, Pella, Oskaloosa, and Knoxville areas. They've all told us, and our neighbors, that if you can hear the shooting, you'll have to declare it on a disclosure statement that you have a shooting range and that can be heard. And the realtors further said we'd suffer a definite loss of property value and very few, if any, potential buyers. And there's between 20 and 25 homes in the area that can hear it. Several years ago, when the airport situation was first being discussed, they had potential runways. And one of the runways was going to be right over our area. Well, Mike had just moved out to this area a year or two before this, and quite alarmed that it was going to damage the property value and the quality of life. We then went around to all the neighbors and collected money and hired an attorney to question the airport runway and the way it would affect the quality of life and the values of the property. And quite frankly, what we have now is worse than the airport would have been. The airplane is under 100 decibels and shotguns are 160 decibels. And we have thousands of those going off where we just have a few airplanes. Black Oak Clays and the shooters used to shoot over at the Marion County Sportsman's Club in Knoxville. They have rules there for hours and days that there can be a shoot. Larry Scott, who's a board member of the Marion County Club, told me Mr. Vandernord told him that he didn't like the rules there and could come over to his place in Mahaska County and do basically whatever he wanted because there's no zoning or laws. They knew how offensive a shooting range is and proceeded without the concerns of the neighbors or any state law or bothered to ask about state law. As you know, the shooting starts 8 in the morning and gets over at 5 in the afternoon on weekends. We understand people enjoy shooting and we're good people. They shoot, have fun, and then they go home. They don't have to stay and listen to this day after day after day, hour after hour. And I can't imagine any of the good people that shoot wanting to live and listen to it day in, day out. That's about all I have to say. I just, again, like to thank the Board of Supervisors and the County Attorney for understanding the situation and listening to us. I've got a letter here from Mike Rosenboom, who lives over on Cordova, just south of where Josh lives there. He says, first off, I want to make it clear that I'm very supporting of the Second Amendment, and it's not an attack on gun rights. I do want to express my concern about the shooting range so close to my house. The noise associated with this range has certainly impacted the quality of life at my residence. Early morning range sessions can easily be heard inside my house with our windows shut. Afternoon evening sessions prevent us from sitting outside our patio due to consistent shootings going on. Makes me being outside undesirable and shootings going on. If I'd have known this, I would not have built my house in my location. I've also thought about the negative impact the range will have on my property value moving forward. I've got some signatures here that I could give you on another petition from others in the neighborhood, but I think I've got a calendar which I've written down every night, the hours it started and ended throughout the whole summer, and it's just a whole different deal when you're there day in, day out, and that's your residence, and that's your life, and the place you worked on to have to sit and endure that noise day after day, hour after hour. It's just not right. It's not something somebody should be able to force on to somebody else's property and quality of life. I don't know how to resolve this with good people and what we're having to endure too. It's a sad situation. And believe me, I'm not the kind of person that likes to speak in front of people or say anything negative about anybody. Good people. It's just a very unfortunate situation, and it looks by the numbers that we're probably going to have to be the sacrifice for everybody else's wish to shoot. I think we got some other people that are probably going to voice some of them. Mark Bishadas. I've lived 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Well, thank you, Board, for having us here. My name is Kyle Zylstra. I live at 1051 Highway 163 within Black Oak Township, and I would just like to take a minute to support the gun range and just let you know how much it means to the kids. To be honest, it's a good program. I do have a child in trap shooting, but not within this, so I am coming today as a resident of Black Oak. Thank you
very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zeke Bracken. I live at 1196 Highway S71, Knoxville, Iowa. I'm here today to talk on behalf of the Pella Shooting Club in Black Oak Clays. Personally, this club means a lot to me. I was a young member when the club early started out, and all the way through high school I competed in the sport. This program and this range are much more to me than just a sport or a place to go shoot. It's home to me and it's personal. I grew up in Pella, Iowa, had a great love for my community. And after I left to join the Marine Corps, which I'm currently a part of back on leave, I realized that this shooting club provided a lot more to me than just, a sport to go do or a hobby to, use my money on. But I realized that it taught me I was part of something bigger than myself. Being in a shooting team, I learned very important skills that not only shaped me the man I am today, but carried me and excelled through all the things I've done and will continue to do. Currently, I'm a corporal in the United States Marine Corps as a field radio operator. I speak to you now as I'm home for the first time in over 10 months. I returned home barely a month ago, where I was deployed to 7 different countries and was extended for longer than the original plan. I saw different ways of life that further solidified how much I truly love my country and how much I love this community. And I'm very fortunate and and how fortunate we are for the free way of life that we have here. Being in the Marines was a culture shock, but I found my background set me farther ahead than a lot of people I served with due to what I learned from these programs, these amazing coaches and families and friends that I made through this program. Now that goes beyond firearm safety, where I learned, at an early age. Where I learned at an early age, but this club ingrained and taught and nurtured the way to where there is no way I can ever go up to any firearm and not treat it in an unsafe manner. I can know and confidently use firearms, and I believe that's very important to learn and teach at a young age, especially with the environment that we're growing up in now. The kids who really fall in love with the sport, because that's what it is, a sport, they will end up going to range, practicing, spending time with family. To me, that's one of the biggest things about how great this shooting community is. You can take a look around the room and see all these people. They're all connected through one thing, the shooting club. And I believe that's great for these kids that normally, wouldn't be a professional athlete. They're not good at running, they're not good at throwing the football. But they can come together, be part of a team, and learn team-building exercises through a sport like this. My last point here is probably closest to my heart out of everything I've covered. This program was such a huge part of my childhood. It was one of the few activities that my father, Tim Bracken, and I could do together. My dad and I could go shooting together and make memories that I will never forget. I'll never forget the smile and how much pride he had in going to events and watching my hard work and passion pay off at state championships, and we could celebrate together. My dad believes so much in this program that after seeing me and after a time coaching on the team and seeing other kids grow, that they would excel, after he coached on the team, he was very, very interested in watching these kids grow and develop and believe very heavily in the club. After my dad passed away in 2017, he wished that his memorial be donated to the Pella Shooting Club to further advance and make sure that the kids would always have a place to shoot and be able to participate at the top of their game. Black Oak Calais is one of the few places that when I come home on leave from the military, I come back here and always go to and look forward to be able to go shoot with friends and family and catch up and finally relax from whatever the military has to have me doing. This is one of the few places I can feel the most at home and be myself, feel the pride of the sacrifices that I've gone through, knowing that keeping this freedom for being able to do what we do here. The countries I went to, nobody has anything like this. This is amazing. One of the things, I apologize, much to my surprise, when I was talking to family and friends about coming home, I found out that this was an ongoing issue, and it was a slap in the face, to say the least. One of the big things I looked forward to was going to this range and going out to the field, because during the deployment, I lost one of my best friends. And the memories I had, as I was thinking back, the last place that I got to spend time with that friend, who was also a teammate on the team, Blake Schroeder, that was where we shared our last memory together. So I was looking forward to coming home and, be able to do something that we always do together. But had this come up instead. So that's all I have really here to say. I just want to give support to the team and the families and friends involved, and showing that it's much more than just one, a personal passion or, only affects a few people. It affects everybody greatly. It affects a lot of young kids in the area as well. Thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Lindsay Laughlin, 1789 Cordova Avenue, and I'm that little pond right there behind your head that sits in the middle of that field.
So if I move, does the pond move?
Yes, it might. No, so I'm sorry. I'm going to redirect this circus that's kind of going on because I did it. I'm a mom of 3 boys. I can guarantee you all 3 of my sons someday will shoot for Pella Christian shooting team. I don't think anybody wants to take anything from these kids in the community. Nobody does. None of us. However, all of these kids, yes, they learn wonderful things with shooting skills and being on a skeet team and everything else. But we didn't get an option in having our quality of life reduced. We all pay our taxes. We all paid for our properties. We all worked hard to build the homes that we have to raise our families in. And on Sundays, every Sunday from April through November, I can't put my children down for a nap. My oldest son in the basement, because even over a TV or a fan going, that's all you hear. So now imagine, if 2 evenings a week, every weekend, have already been dedicated to shooting ranges. Those things also have certain scheduled times that people can come and shoot, so that it's not disturbing the peace of the neighborhood. How many evenings a week and how many weekends? You know, so I raise bird dogs. The standing joke at our house is people come and they pick up a puppy or something like that, and they want to know if their gun broke. We live by a shooting range. You know, I mean, it's actually kind of funny, but then people do come and they're like, oh my goodness, when they come on a weekend to pick up their pup or something like that, they're like, this is insane. It is constant noise. And it is not a witch hunt in the neighborhood or anything else. There are times, so I'll be very honest, that our neighborhood has had a lot of, arguments and everything else, and people have not gotten along. I would say over the last several years that has definitely settled down more. But we feel like as landowners around that area that we never got a choice in this. We never got to have an opinion on how our lives were going to be disturbed and how our quality of life was going to diminish. And over the years, it started out, yes, about the kids, and it started out the kids coming out and shooting, but it has grown into a full-time business with there being different hosted shoots all the time, and to where it's just become, instead of shooting, nobody complained. Nobody complained when it was the kids coming out and shooting a few evenings a week and a couple weekends a year. But as this has grown into the entity that it is becoming very daunting. And yeah, we have the, you know, it would be very interesting if we went to sell our home and people come out and that's what they're hearing all the time is the shooting. So yes, we know that the kids are there, and I think that they need a place to shoot. However, is it someplace that is so populated when there's already a place in Oskaloosa and a place in Pella that are already shooting ranges available for them, and the fact that, you know, it doesn't feel like it was done properly, and it seems like it's common knowledge that you need a permit to be able to put up a building, regardless of what that is, but then to be able to open a shooting range near so many homes, affecting the quality of so many lives. The majority of people here, when they go home to peace and quiet. They choose to go to the shoot, they put on their required ear guards, and then they leave, and they go home, and the constant banging isn't following them there. And so I think that needs to be, I get that they all showed up. I understand that our kids, like I said, my three will be, some of them, need a place like that. However, I also think that there needs to be, it needs to be regulated somehow. They never went to you guys to get the permits that they needed when they began to build, and there was never any respect for the neighboring community, and it just feels like it impedes upon our rights, and that nobody's really looking out for those of us. You know, just saying, consider if it were in your backyard, how you would feel. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
My name is Keith Roosevelt. I live at 1234 170th Street, due north of the range. I have a statement I prepared in which I speak to the annoyance of the sound and how it begins in the morning, runs all day, and how it's harmed the quality of living on our property. I too believe that it will harm the property value. But as I come today and I witness all this, I understand that the shooting for the kids is a great thing. I don't oppose that. I understand it. I get it. It's wonderful. I understand that a lot of things were done with a lot of thought and care. But I do suspect, I wish I knew the law and all those things. I haven't looked into all of that. But I wish some news person would grind down in there and see how maybe some things were omitted, forgotten, overlooked, not thought about, not done properly. And now we are in a very difficult situation here that I suspect there could be some liability on these supervisors. I hope I'm not talking out of place. I don't mean to do that. I just really wonder. I'm not going to pursue it, but I find it very interesting. Now we have hundreds and hundreds of people that are really excited about this thing, and it's really, really hard to to think about this in a fair manner about should it be or shouldn't it be. It already is. So that's a very difficult situation. The other thing then that I've come to is, let's just please have some reasonableness for our neighbors. Must I be woken on Sunday morning to shooting in my bedroom until in the evening, all day long? Just please, let's have some regulation, some reasonability. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add something to what you said? I did research, and there are several counties throughout the United States that have $100 million lawsuits for allowing something like this. Some type of reason.
Hi there. My name's Jody Martin. I'm the head trap shooting coach for Ankeny Centennial. And I'm coming here to obviously support Black Oak Clays getting reopened and that sort of thing. And I'm not going to take a lot of time. I have an athlete with me that wants to talk up here. I want to make sure he has enough time. But I guess I just want to speak to this. I've been listening to everyone's comments and echo the same thing in terms of the quality of people we're talking about here, the quality of the facility. We have 93 athletes on my teams, one of the largest teams in the state, along with Pella Christian, and we decided to start shooting sporting clays and skeet 2 years ago. And when I look through the leaderboard and I see that Pella and Pella Christian is on the top, I knew exactly where I needed to go to be able to maybe get some wisdom from Mike, and he's been more than willing to help me out. I think we first met probably 5, 6, 7 years ago. And anyway, but our kids love going down there, great facility and that sort of thing. And the other key point I want to bring up too is that the growth of the sport has been talked about. And Iowa has more SCTP athletes than any other state in the nation. And you're surrounded by 4 of the top teams, not only in the state, but in the nation. When you look at North Scott, you look at us, you look at Pella, you look at Pella Christian, Oskaloosa. This is going to impact my planning dramatically in terms of how and where we're going to be able to go to shoot, because obviously it's been well put that the facilities are lacking, here in the state of Iowa. So, but anyway, I just wanted to point that out, and now I'd like to introduce Sam Gammon, who is one of the athletes on my team.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sam Gammon. I'm a sophomore at Ankeny Centennial High School. I shoot for the Centennial Jaguar shooting team, and this is the start of my 4th year shooting. The sport of trap means the world to me. I was a kid who could not find a sport that I liked or excelled at, so my younger years were a hard time for me trying to fit in and find something fun to do. When I found trap shooting, I did not have a clue in the world what to do or what it would be like, but I decided to try it. I knew after a few practices that I was hooked. In order to play any sport, you need some sort of equipment and a setting. To play baseball, you need a baseball bat, a glove, and a field. To play basketball, you need a basketball, a hoop, and a court. And to play soccer, you need a soccer ball, a net, and a field. In order to race motocross, you need a motorcycle and a track. And in order to shoot trap, it just so happens that you need a shotgun and a range. Over the years, the Black Oak Clays facility has played a crucial role in developing my love for trap and my own personal growth. Mike and Sharon have taught me the game of sporting clays, and they do everything from just giving me little pointers to helping me fix big things to improve my overall game. They have even brought me up to competing at the national level. I would have never thought that I would be competing at a national level in a sport that I love. The Black Oak Clays facility is one of the state's premier sporting clay ranges that we have here in Iowa. I have so many memories from shooting at the Black Oak Clay facility, but the most impactful one is getting to know people from other areas of the state. This facility is a place where lasting friendships are formed, and the people who shoot trap become an extended family. In trap shooting, yes, you are competing as a team and as an individual, but everyone wants everyone to do well because it makes the game way more fun and enjoyable. Through 3 full years of shooting so far, there has been many valuable life skills and things that I would have never learned if I did not find the sport of trap. One of the biggest things that I have gained from the sport of trap is social skills. There are people that I have met that I do not personally like nor want to be best friends with, but with shooting I have gained the ability to approach them with kindness and treat them with respect. Just like in life, a person will need the ability to be able to approach a person that one does not personally like and treat them with kindness and respect. A major element to shooting is attitude, and being able to control one's attitude in stressful situations is a life skill that is used on a day-to-day basis. It is a hard thing to learn, but trap is making it easier and easier for me
to learn how to control my emotions and improve my attitude. If you take away this facility, you are also taking away valuable life lessons for kids everywhere. I understand that there may be a concern of safety in the sport, but all the coaches and people who run meets and practices are trained by either the DNR or the NRA. Before our season starts, all athletes participate in required safety training where we are taught how to be responsible for safety. When it comes to the safety of team members, I feel a lot more comfortable and safe being out on a range compared to playing a full contact sport where I do not know what could happen. A prime example of how safe this sport is would be our state meet. Over 3,000 athletes from ages 4th grade all the way through senior and high school competed at the state meet over 5 days without a single injury. This displays just how safe this sport is compared to many other things that kids choose to play. If the Black Oak Clays facility gets shut down, it would not only affect the Vanden Ord family, but it would also affect the families from all over the state that shoot at this facility. So I'd like to kindly ask you to consider reopening the range so I can make more memories and keep enjoying this sport that I love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Morning.
I'm Dee Dee DeShadas. I live at 1220 180th Street. And we are not against the kids. We understand it. They can talk here all day, telling how great the shooting range is, how they're learning so much. That's awesome. But I'd like to see a show of hands of who would want to come with me in my backyard every night and listen to this. What if you live in town and it's in your backyard? In town, you'd like to have this in your backyard. You know why you'd like to hear it? Because you're doing it. You don't have to listen to it. You have ears hard to talk.
Okay, sorry. We're not going to... Please make the comments to the board.
Okay, so when you come out and check out the shooting range, I hope it's a night when they're shooting constantly, and then you can come. I'll grill you a steak in my backyard, and you can listen to it.
Thank you.
It's very undesirable.
Hi, my name is Joseph Van Wyk. I'm on the pellet shooting team. I reside at Reesner, Iowa, 10860 Highway 214 South, and I would like to keep the range up and running because it has taught me so many lessons in life. It has helped me grow closer to my dad because my dad was never in any sports as a kid, so he never played basketball, he never did wrestling or football or anything like that. So we couldn't really ever go out and just have fun like that because he never understood those type of things. But he does know what it's like to go out and shoot at just regular targets, stuff like that. He does have fun with that. So that is a way that we've been able to get together. And before we had our own trap throwing machine, Mike would always hold fun shoots, and that was a good way for us to get together to shoot together, along with my grandpa. I've had friends come out and help me with it, or not help, but do it with me, and just a lot of other things that it has let me bond and grow with my dad. Also, I believe that it is a very safe sport. Like the kid from the Sentinel team said that it was a shoot with over 3,000 kids and no one was injured. I think that that's saying something, because if you had a football game with like 1,500 kids on each team, then it would definitely have some injuries with it. So, yeah, I just think that the range should keep going because I've learned a lot of lessons and grown a lot of memories there. So,
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Alex Vanden Ord. I live at 501 East Park Lane, Pella. I just want to say thanks for letting me speak. Mike is my uncle. I'm going to my 4th year shooting. Shooting is my only true passion and opens doors that I didn't know I had. I have participated in all disciplines of shooting and I've done quite well in some. Some of my biggest accomplishments are state speed champion 3 years running, national doubles trap champion, national doubles trap runner-up, national sporting place 5th place, and tied for champion of international speed. And in Iowa, it's very hard to find a place to shoot international speed because you have to modify a normal speed field. Black Oak is one of the only places in Iowa where myself or anyone can shoot international speed. Without Black Oak, I would almost definitely not be where I am today. I've gone through every emotion I have at this range that has made me a better person mentally and physically. I'm looking for a potential scholarship in shooting, which could be very relevant if Black Oak stays, but the outcome the outcome without Black Oak could be a lot more questionable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Heisenberg, and I live at 1202 East 7th Street in Palo. And I've been in shooting club for 5 years. I'm now a varsity shooter, Palo Shooting Club. Shooting means a lot to me and my family. My dad is the president of shooting team, Travis, a devoted coach, and a great teacher. My mom helps a lot with concessions and fundraising. My sister also is a varsity shooter for the Palo Shooting team, and she's won 4th place in National Women's Varsity Skeet. So you can tell that my family revolves around shooting, and I'm so very grateful for their efforts and support. For a shooter who lives in town, it's about a 30-minute drive to Big Springs, which is the other range that we practice at, and only a 15-minute drive to Blackout Place. That's half of the risk of one of our shooters getting hurt or injured on the road. The extra time that we save can be spent on homework for busy kids like me who have a job. Another thing is that Big Springs is only available for us 1 night a week because there are only other competitions and practices on for other teams. I've made so many friends and great memories from these last 5 years. I'll never forget my first trip to Nationals. We rented a golf cart because the range was massive, and I sat on the back with one of my best friends listening to some Panic at the Disco. Something so small and simple, yet I'll never forget it. We are such a great team of close-knit friends, kicking butt together, earning medals, and finding ourselves. When I was young, I tried soccer, basketball, volleyball, and I even tried a bit of tennis. But nothing seemed to suit me. For many years, I tried volleyball even though I was wearing different shorts, because I wasn't comfortable in other ones, and I had to work twice as hard. Shooting is purely time. There aren't many times where you can have to work harder than time that you put in and efforts that you sign up for. It doesn't matter how tall, short, small, big, athletic, or not. You can shoot. I finally found what works for me, and I'd love to continue to shoot for all my life. Thank you so much for your time and attention today.
Thank you.
My name is Haley Starmer. I'd like to thank you for your public service. And I am 15 and I've been a member of Palo Shooting Team for 4 years. I shoot crap, skeet, and sporting goods. I would like to explain to you what the shooting team means to me and what Black Oak Place has done for me. The Palo Shooting Team is not only a team, it's a big family. Not only do teammates come to Black Oak Place every Tuesday and Thursday for practice, but our parents, our siblings, and sometimes grandparents, aunts, and uncles are there as well, supporting each athlete. Palo Shooting Team in Black Oak Place is not only provided a second family for me, but is also the best friends I've ever had, and has provided me a lifestyle that I can continue for years to come, and into my adult life, and could pass on to my children someday. Black Oak Place is a home range where I spend hundreds of hours each year outside on the range. While on the range, I am not just shooting, I am learning leadership skills, making friends, learning how to be coachable, and also how to support my teammates. I have participated in many sports, but none of them were as special as shooting. Everyone gets to shoot regardless of skill level. There are no sitting on the bench. Black Oak Place is a high-quality range that offers us the ability to learn and try different shooting techniques and disciplines. Some teams in the state of Iowa only have the option to shoot one discipline, like track, because they don't have a practice facility like Mike and Sharon. Having the range in central Iowa opens the opportunity for the surrounding teams like Palo Christian, Knoxville, Albia, Oskaloosa, and all the other SCTP teams the ability to use it well. Black Oak Place is also a place where I get to shoot with my dad and son. There are not many sports or hobbies that a father and a daughter can enjoy together. Black Oak Place is a place where everyone can come together from many walks of life. It is a place where age and skill does not matter. My younger sister is still 2 years away from being able to join a shooting team. I hope that she gets the same opportunities Black Oak Place has offered me. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Kelly Glucksberg. I reside at 1165 River Road, Lighton. So I know everybody has spoke about how good the team is, the aspect. and I know it's a noise ordinance issue, or not getting a permit. So noise ordinance, when you're in a community, the dog's barking, as a young lady said she raises dogs. From the range, you can hear the ballpark and all the cheering and different things going on there. And different parts of our community in Pella have the airport. At my sister-in-law's, you can hear the planes go over. It's something you get used to. Knowing where they live, and this, they knew the noise from 163, which at the range you can hear the semis go by, different cars, different things like that. If we need a permit, or to backtrack to get a permit to have the small buildings that are set up, these buildings are smaller than this table that house a trap machine and clays. So, different things. Like I said, they're worried about the noise and the traffic on their road. Public road, private property. I would hate that you guys would think that you couldn't go out your backyard. Mr. Wonders, where you live, the range is just down the street. So I know that you hear that a lot and know what it's like. They're shooting rifles, they're shooting handguns, they're not trained like our children. I shoot with my children. It's something very passionate, but getting back to the noise, if that's what we're going on, we need to do something about Pella's ballpark. Was that approved with them? Because they can hear that from their homes, because they are closer than the range. Or 163, they bought their properties, they know where they were when this was all set up. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate what you do.
Thank you. Morning.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Dave Cook. I live at 25577 County Road 762, Memphis, Missouri. I've known Mike for over 10 years. I also own a shooting club. I own Little Fox River Sporting Clays. So I want to speak on behalf of the noise, because I have noise there all the time. I mean, and I'm used to it being, it doesn't bother us at all. I thought long and hard about what I should talk about today, because I think it's important that everybody understands the benefits of having a club in your community. I would like to present to you one example of many why shooting clubs are so important to our community. It is about a student that I coached in shooting sports. You've heard testimonials from the kids. I want to give you one more. This individual started shooting sports at the age of 11, and I coached him for 2 years. Then he decided to play junior high football. He hurt his knee and was on crutches for quite a while. So Mitch wanted to do something in sports, but didn't like baseball, didn't like basketball, and he didn't want to risk hurting his knee worse than football. So he was really struggling with his life for what to do. So I ran into Mitch and visited with him and quickly observed an individual that had very low self-esteem and felt like everything was against him. He was very disappointed. I asked him why you don't return to the shooting sports. His answer, he was pretty discouraged and said, I did that and I wasn't very good. So I worked on him some more, and with his mother's encouragement, he did return to the shooting sports. He made the high school team, but was an alternate his freshman year. Didn't shoot every tournament, but he practiced. He asked what he needed to do to improve. I said that he needed to work hard in practice and he needed to set a goal. What's your goal for your own improvement? So his sophomore year, he made the B team. We have an A team, B team, and Alder. He made the B team. He was progressing, but at a slow pace. But he was working hard. He was not a gifted individual, but he had determination, and if you could focus him on a goal, he did very well. So he came to me after the spring shooting season was complete. He said, Dave, I have set my new goal and want you to help me achieve it. I said yes before I even knew what his goal was. His new goal was to have the highest average in the high school track team. That was his goal. I said, Mitch, we have really good shooters in the junior and senior class. He stated, I think I can do it, but I need your help. So here's an individual that was his self-esteem was really low, and now he's getting determined, and it's through the shotgun sports that helped him. So I told him I'm in, and so we had the summer to help Mitch meet his goal. At the same time, I needed someone to help me at the club. Mow grass, change batteries, load and trap machines, paint, miscellaneous things to do. So Mitch asked his mother if it was okay if he'd work, could work for him. She said yes. Mitch worked all day from 8 to 5 p.m. with an hour for lunch. After a 20-minute lunch, we were on the trap field, and he shot 50 rounds every day. Every day. We did that all summer until high school shooting sports tryouts. Because you try out to make the team. I couldn't decide who was more nervous, Mitch or myself. So what do you think the outcome was? You are correct. Mitch had the highest average and maintained that for his junior and senior year. I think the average of his averages junior and senior year was 98 out of 100. That's how this individual progressed through the shooting sports. So, along with the accomplishment, the team, after the team's made, they vote for a captain. I recommend having a senior for the captain. And if Mitch would know, I voted his junior year for a senior on the team, but the other team members voted, and they voted for Mitch because they knew how hard this individual had worked to accomplish his goal. And they wanted to be just like Mitch. He was a natural leader that people, his peers, wanted to follow. So the other thing that I think is really important, because I could talk about his accomplishments and how well he did. That's not where I'm at. My feel is, how did he do in school?
Let's keep it going.
Okay. So he went from C's and D's to mostly B's and a few C's. He has since graduated from high school, welding technical school, and is currently working at a factory close to where we are today. He called me last week, and this is why I chose this example, and invited Lou, my wife, and myself out to lunch before he goes to work. During lunch, Mitch told me he has a new goal. I said, what's that? And he said, my goal is to learn every weld job at this facility because I think that's important because I would like to be a supervisor here someday. So what do you think the outcome will be? I'm betting he's going to be a supervisor at that. So and Mike and Sharon do the same thing. They do with more. I teach probably 50 students. They teach over 100. And I've been around Mike enough to know that what he does is the best for the kids. So I just wanted to give you an example of how important a shooting range is to a community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's limit to one time, please. We're in public hearing now, and we can't take any action public hearing anyway, so.
Scott DeBooth. I live in Lighton, Iowa. I'm here, was given some numbers just to talk about the economic impact and also some statistics on the SCTP. So in 2016, a survey of SCTP participants and their parents by their National Shooting Sports Foundation indicated that 70% of parents had spent more than $1,000 in the last year on shooting sports equipment, and more than 50% expected to spend more than $1,000 on equipment the next year. In 2018, a 2018 SCTP Sporting Clays Championship had 218 attendees. 71% were from outside of Mahaska County. League shoots in 2018 had 465 athletes from outside of Mahaska County. These were all at Black Oak Clays. The Iowa Tourism Board estimates that $361 is the average spending per day for a travel party, including lodging, food, and travel. And the point being that Black Oak Clays is a destination, and people will travel to this site and spend their money in this community if Black Oak Clays is there. I'm also here, a father of a shooter and coach on the team, and just want to ask for support, approval of the range.
Thank you. Morning.
It's leaving this morning anymore.
7 hour left.
My name's Noah DeBooth. That was my dad. I'm a sophomore at Pella Christian High School, and I shoot on the clay target team. I'd like to start by saying how grateful I am that we can come here and just speak our minds and let everybody get everything off their chest and try to come to a reasonable answer, compromise. Black Oak has been a very important location for not only the Pella Christian and Pella Public clay target teams, but for the state of Iowa. It's where a lot of kids were introduced to the shooting sports, and where many students joined together to shoot the Sporting Clays State Championship in 2018. Black Oak Clays has been a place for lessons to be learned, trophies to be won, and fun to be had. Shooters learn about patience, focus, and safety, and without this range, families may need to travel further to use other facilities. In the busy life we all live, this can be a burden, and possibly even a reason for a family to keep their child from the shooting sports. This range provides the opportunity for kids to grow and learn to be respectful, intelligent, and determined young men and women.
Thank you.
That's all.
Thank you. Morning.
I'm Lloyd Umark. I live on the corner of 180th and Baird, so I catch all the dust from these things. I think, first I want to say I think this is a great thing for kids, because a lot of kids do this that don't participate in other sports, which gets them into something unique, but I deal with an awful lot of dust in cars. Some days 300 cars go in, 300 cars come out, and I get dust from every one of them. The shooting thing, I've been a shooter all my life, and I've done my share of shooting. It does get really monotonous. You can't go out on the deck and grill without hearing constant shooting. You know, I can't fish in my pond without hearing constant shooting. And yeah, I mean, if anything, I think I ought to get some dust control, because I get dust coming from 2 ways. And I get every bit of it because the wind's usually out of the south in summertime. So, I don't have a lot else to say, but yeah, I'd like to see it stop. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
My name is Clayton Heinen, and I live at 855 197th Place, and I'm a member of the Pella Christian Trap Team. And I'd just like to say that this is a sport that any kid can do. You don't have to be athletically talented or have any kind of talent. It just takes hard work. And I've grown to this sport because I've been very injury prone. I've played other sports, and I actually just had 2 hip surgeries this past off season. And this is a sport that everyone gets in. There's no bench or anything, and a lot of kids that really enjoy it. And I started shooting sporting clays at Mike's range, and it's one of my favorites now.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Hello, I'm Dominic Vermeer. I'm a member of the Christian Clay Target Team. I live at 139 St. Drive in Pella. I'm just like to say how grateful I am for the range. I feel like it's helped build a sense of community, not just between Pella and Pella Christian, but across teams across the state, where we can come together and compete and learn and grow together. I feel like Mike and Sharon have done an excellent job on teaching us basic principles and also helping to prepare us. I know Mike spent countless hours preparing a range for us to practice on before nationals, just to get us ready and prepared for that. So I'd like to say thank you to them just for what they've done, and thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Anybody else?
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
My name is Wendell Campbell. I live at 818 High Avenue East. I operate a business at 807 A Avenue West. If I speak up, it's because I was standing in the back of the room, and I know it was hard for them to hear, so please don't take the tone of my voice as a direct at the supervisors. I serve on numerous county boards, city boards as well. I'm the secretary or the treasurer of Mahaska County Pheasants Forever. We support all the shooting teams within Mahaska County. I think I could sit here and could echo the regard for Mr. and Mrs. Vandenoord, how wonderful people they are, how wonderful of a range that it is. It is a facility that I've utilized in the past, look forward to utilizing in the future. My daughter being a 5th grader, a part of the rookies program at Pella Christian and on that shooting team. I think the more important thing at task, and as you sit in the seats that you do, the difficult decision to make is how this fits within Mahaska County and how this fits within the current residents of that area. Those are decisions that aren't easily made. Those are decisions that I know you all will take very seriously in the weight that the individuals speaking here today, those for and those against. I see the economic impact of this shooting range, those that come to shoot. I know there's gentlemen out in the hall that have traveled a long distance to be here today. They travel all over the state of Iowa to shoot, and they're here today in support of this. They come, they fill up in our gas stations, they stop at our grocery stores, they stop at our restaurants. This is something that I would view as an asset to Mahaska County. As a tough a decision that is, and again, the neighbors with their complaints of the shooting hours, the regulations around it, the DNR does have regulations as far as distance required from existing buildings and from existing residences. I think that has been outlined that this range is in compliance with. The shooting hours, generally the shoots that I've been involved in, at least during the daytime, last group out around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They do start 8 a.m. and for some that is early part of the morning. For others that might be middle of the day, depending on when you start your day. So I voiced my opinion in support of it, in support of the shooting groups. In the day and age we live in, there seems to be less and less of an opportunity for our kids to get outdoors and to do things, and to me this is something that is certainly needed. They've shown
a lot of kids that wouldn't normally qualify or maybe participate in other team sports. This is a team sport where they can not only compete individually, but that they can also compete as part of a team. And I think that's very imperative with our young kids today to have that opportunity. My daughter is somebody who wouldn't necessarily go out and be assertive as part of a team, but this gives her an opportunity to participate not only as an individual but also with other teammates. And I think that the shooting sports is something that has shown to be very positive in a lot of those kids who wouldn't normally go out and participate in a team sport. So again, I commend you all for the job that you do and the tough decision that you have to make in regards to this, but I would like to voice my opinion and support. So thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak?
I'd just like to repeat what I said earlier. I know you're going to wrap up the public hearing portion of this here because Black Oak Plays received a letter from Mr. Retland, which you have in your packet. You've seen it. Basically asked us to stop using the range. And I called him and I said, I'd like you, Mr. Retland, to delay any pursuit of any legal action. And he said that'll be up to the Board of Supervisors. So we asked to be on your agenda today. I know you may need more time to make a decision, but between now and when you make the final decision, we would like you to, if this is appropriate anyway, ask Mr. Ritland to defer, to delay any pursuit of any legal action against us so we can continue to use the facility. There's a lot of young people here that need to practice. So, like I said, there's some urgency about it. That's the most immediate action we request today. If you wish to adopt a resolution saying the works, by the way, the statute doesn't talk about improvements as such, construction of buildings. There's a couple of other words in there that we don't recognize. And then there's a generic word, works, that have been constructed. If it behooves you to approve those at this point, that'd be great too. But at a minimum, we're asking that you instruct Mr. Ritland to not proceed with any legal action until a final decision is made for all these young people to practice. That's why we're here. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to go back in the regular session.
Second.
I need a motion first.
Oh, I make a motion and we go out of open session.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of going back into regular session, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Public hearing is closed. Dealing with action on the request to establish use and maintain a shooting range on the Black Oak City's place located at 1243 180th Street, Section 9, Black Oak Township. Any thoughts?
I'd definitely like to go out and look at it myself before we do anything. But after what I'm hearing here today, I would be in favor of letting have practice time until we can make a final decision. That's all you kind of think. I mean, I think these kids go, the schedule's coming on right now. They're not practicing. That's not a good situation. I'm not saying I'm for or against either way. I'm just saying I think the kids ought to be able to practice until we get the season.
Andrew, can you join us, please?
Certainly.
I've heard the comments of a suggestion. Here's my thoughts of what I've heard. Kind of, for lack of a better word, the target seems like it's turned towards us. I guess the liability on the county side, taking action now or making sure we understand the code and doing our responsibilities are we at liability one way or the other? Do we have responsibility until we approve something? Where does the county as a whole sit? We've heard some complaints about issues. I'm not sure if we statutorily have any authority over any of that at this point or not. I guess where I'm at, we're going to have a serious conversation of where you see our responsibilities at in some of these comments to make sure we fully understand what our requirements are moving forward.
Certainly.
And so, I don't know if we want to go through all that here. The comments of, are we at liability if we approve practice, if we allow the practice to continue until we seek a permit or approval, is the county any liability?
So as we kind of started the hearing today, the focus of the board's decision is not regarding the shooting or the target shooting. It's the improvements on the land which needs approval. As I presented this topic to the board for consideration, under 41A, point 123, it does provide that the owner or an individual which the owner permits to shoot on their property is not in violation of a public or private nuisance. So I think there needs to be a distinction made between the act of shooting and the improvements to facilitate the shooting. Now, the question is whether the board can defer enforcement until a final decision is made. It is always in the board's discretion how to or whether to enforce certain provisions. If the board chooses, they can decide not to take any legal action, if ever is contemplated in the future, but defer any action until a final decision is made. That's probably the wise course. Ultimately, if the board decides to approve the works constructed on Black Oak Clays, it'd also be a moot point. There would be no need for any further action. So, in my mind, it would make sense to decline to take immediate action regarding the shooting range until a final decision is made by the board, one or the other. And again, from my perspective, I'm just concerned about the process. What the outcome is, that is totally up to the board to decide. I'm just trying to make sure that the process for approval is followed. So, I guess in summary, it's up to you whether you want to defer any action until a final decision is made or not.
Mr. Crick has talked about the county taking action. I guess I'm a little confused. Why would we take action unless someone's complaining and bringing a complaint to you to take action against somebody other than trying to encourage someone to follow the code?
Well, yes.
Really,
so
that's the only damage we would have. Is that correct?
Again, under that provision, it is incumbent upon the owner of the property to seek approval of the board for the improvements they make on the land to facilitate the shooting. It's their responsibility to seek that approval. Ultimately, if the board grants such approval, there's no further action that needs to be taken after that grant of approval. And that can either be in form of a resolution, which does not require subsequent hearings, or in terms of an ordinance. Most likely the ordinance would be the safer route, because that just has more procedures you follow. But at the end of the day, the effect of the approval will still be the same. So right now, it's really for the board to decide whether they want to wait to do anything until a final decision is made. But it's not my position or my decision as to what should or should not happen with the range as it sits right now. That's just a policy decision of the board.
So, if we do nothing, they can go ahead and shoot. till the final decision? Is that the way you read it, or am I misunderstanding?
If you decline to take any legal action at this point, which you're always free to do, then the range can continue to operate until you make your final decision.
That's what I
think. That's your choice if you want to do that. So whether to take action or not is always on the board, and kind of weighing the equities of that.
Well, in some of the comments they said we were shutting them down, and I didn't realize we were shutting them down. We just haven't took action yet which way it's going.
Well, in the letter I sent, I notified Black Oak Clays that the improvements have not been approved by the board. Because they have not been approved by the board, they would be in violation of the letter of the law as it relates to that section. But again, it is up to the board whether to wait to take any action until a final vote's been made or not. I just wanted to make sure that the property owners were aware that they would be, at least in my view, out of compliance with the code when improvements have been made without approval by the board. Do you have any other further questions on that regard?
No, basically I understand today whether decision has to be made whether we want to pursue action or not, or work toward a commit. Right?
Yes, whether you want to take any action today regarding the current out of compliance, or whether you want to defer action about the current state of out of compliance until you make a final decision about whether ultimately you will approve the works or not.
Well, I don't think we're ready to drop even an ordinance yet at this point. I prefer to have something in writing to vote on, so it's in documentation for everybody to see and read, and it's in the minutes for future reference. And we're not ready for that as of today, so we need that down.
That's certainly. I mean, the board can always table any further discussion or decisions at a later point. That's always permissible.
So I guess it's my thought. I'm not ready to take legal action against anybody at this point. I don't know if you guys are, but to me, we need a draft really what we really should be doing as a board, whether we have any influence over noise, the distances, and so forth. Because I feel that's all. If the code's already distinguished that it's out of our hands, it's just a matter of we approving the improvements to the shooting range. You know, it really makes a different picture of what our responsibilities are.
Oh, absolutely, yes, absolutely. And again, I think the code is clear that the act of target shooting on private premises with permission of that landowner is not a public or private nuisance, according to the 2017 revision of the code.
So I guess that's what I need to have further contact with you next week or 10 days to see, because we're already scheduled to publish this for a public hearing again 2 weeks from today. So we'll have another action on it then. And so I guess it'd be my proposal. To me, this is a community thing. This isn't right or wrong. I think it's good. But it's obvious we have some landowners that are upset. And so I guess from my standpoint, I guess I would like our board to not pursue legal action at this time, but encourage everyone here to see what's going to take to resolve the neighborhood. See if there's any negotiating, any compromise, any happiness. I'm not even sure really where we legally stand other than the improvements that we can approve. So I'll be honest with you, so if the noise is not of our, if we don't have any control of the noise, that's not our jurisdiction. We don't have any say over it. Then it goes back to making the neighbors happy. Are we making, Mike, I'll just speak with you. Does that understand where I'm coming from? And so, if you guys got a different idea for today.
No, I think a lot of people stood up and said how shooting and how being a part of a team is a work together atmosphere. I would like to see these people get together and figure out something that would work for everybody, as close as they can. You know, the landowners that are unhappy, the shooting people, maybe different hours, maybe no Sunday. I don't know. because I don't have a dog in the fight. But I think this group of people could come up with something that would work where not everybody's going to be happy, but not everybody's going to be mad, so to speak. I don't know. That's what a compromise. So. I don't know if I said that right or not.
I think we've got our work to do, cut out to bring up a permit either way to really find out what our legal authority. I'm not understanding. I'm not sure we even have jurisdiction over the noise.
Like I said, the interrelation between those two sections of the code is unclear at this point because it's so new. So there's nothing interpreting exactly how those two code sections relate. But the most clear or most evident position that the board would have is improvements at least, or approval at least to the works or improvements to the land.
Until that time, are we allowed to practice?
Again, it's up to discretion of the board whether to seek enforcement or legal action or not. So if you decline to do that, which you can, you always can decline not to do something, then the shooting range could continue to operate until a final decision is made. Again, it's in the board's discretion whether or not to pursue anything or not at this juncture.
Does that open us up to liability?
Well, again, the question in my mind is the improvements themselves. If anything, in my mind, the liability would fall on the property owners because they're the ones that need the approval. They're the ones that are obligated under the code for approval of those works or ramparts or whatnot on the land.
Motion on that?
We're going to meet 15th.
There's another public hearing set for the 15th. If we're going to
rule 4 against the...
Well, I think we need to, we have our county attorney who represents us. Any one of us three can drop an ordinance or resolution, have the county attorney review or draw it up with us to take action on after the next public hearing. Or anybody out here can draft a resolution and bring it to us to be presented for a vote. I would prefer to have something in writing to vote on, so it's in the minutes. There's no assuming down the road that we orally said. Everything's in writing for everyone to see.
But my question is, can these kids practice next 2 weeks?
If you make a motion that we will take no legal action, they can, correct?
Yes, if you decline to take action until final approval.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like that motion.
I second that motion.
Okay. We have a motion, no legal action today. Is there further discussion? Just for discussion now, you wanting the amendment to say pending further...
Till the final decision.
Till the final decision?
Right.
April 15th, right?
Then you go resolution or ordinance?
Yes. So if it's treated as a ordinance, it has to be passed at 3 meetings. Exactly. If it's treated as a resolution, then you'd only need to pass it once. One caveat to that is if it's treated as a ordinance, the requirement of 3 consecutive meetings can be suspended by majority vote of the board as well. So there's some options there, depending on how you treat things.
You're saying we can read the ordinance and pass it and then waive the next 2 readings and it's final. Any further discussion? Okay, I just want to make sure we move forward. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. You want to read that motion back so they understand what we just...
I put down that there would be no legal action today until a final decision is made, and either an ordinance or a resolution would need to be presented.
in written form.
The action we took today, this board is not taking any legal action pursuing or obtaining the permit process to accomplish that in the next 1 or 2, 3 meetings. So that's the action and decision of the board today. And so I guess there was also consensus of the board. In the meantime, I'm speaking out of turn, but I guess we're encouraging everybody to communicate. This is a community issue, and so we're encouraging everyone to work together. So I think it's a good thing, but there's some things I think people are upset about. Let's see if there's something that can be done about it. So, okay.
If the community can fix it, it'll be a lot better deal than if we have to fix it. So that's what we're asking from you folks is try to give your ideas, work together, and get something that's workable.
Are you guys wanting to go out of the work session that Mr. DeShadas, that invitation from Mr. DeShadas, as well as to the shooting range? You want to do it as a work session, do it individually?
Let's do a work session.
Okay.
And I don't care if we have 3 or 4 of the people against and 3 or 4 of the people for or whatever, but let's just have a work session and let everybody get their stuff out on the table. So hopefully we can reach a solution.
I don't know if you're going to stay for the rest of our meeting, Mike. If not, would you please leave your number down at the auditor's office? We can reach you. Is Mark DeShadas still here? Okay. You want to leave your number down at the auditor's office as well, so we know how to contact you, and we'll try and set up a work session? Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Andrew. Ben, you're up. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Your input.
Well, my copy is kind of sitting behind that ring. I'll move for a 5-minute recess.
Yep.
Follow the process that you guys are doing.
Good. I live by a shooting range. I live within a half mile. I don't know if you heard that one. And everybody's affected. Oh, maybe you just got to quit at 6.
Have you ever had a board meeting go past the weekend?
It'll build your community if you do. Otherwise, it's always a war. The Hatfields and McCoys. So,
like you said at the end,
Your email on anyway.
yeah, I don't care. I live 20 miles away. I live by my own shooting range. So. And I love that kind of stuff. There's a picture of my daughters. It's on a Facebook page. There's where we're from. So it's a little different than they do, but it is what it is.
like your attorney said, you got to follow the process.
We got to follow the code. And that's part of teaching the kids like everything else, and I think it's great. But I would like to work out something where the neighbors can say we can tolerate it. Because I understand the banging and, you know.
I lived on a lake in East Texas for a while. I'm a retired fireman.
Okay.
And I lived in East Texas for a while. The duck hunters, I thought they were shooting on my front porch.
Yeah, we have it in the neighborhood. I live on the Des Moines River, and they duck hunt, and they do whatever they do. But if we can cohabitate, we're better off. We'll see that we threw it out there, and that's all we can do.
Well, I think we made the right decision. To follow the process and work it out. This is a tricky thing.
Yeah.
Emotional thing.
It is emotional. I understand both sides, you know. So, yep, thank you for your comments. I appreciate it.
What's your name, sir? My name is Gus Reno. I live in Pella. Okay. I just moved here about 4 years ago. I grew up in Sully, a big town in Sully. I was a professional firefighter in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, I see. You did Dennis Reno's brother or relation with him? Who? Dennis Reno from Linville?
No, I had a family. I had a brother that taught at the Pella Community School when I was Greg. But anyway, I've been on going
hours before, you know, you think, whoa. Anyway.
Well, we thank you coming and supporting whoever. Yep.
Like you said, compromise, it's going to have to be something.
Did he say compromise? Did we have to give in?
He agreed with all.
Oh, Brian, they just took your computer.
I'm still here. So
Oh, thanks for all your work, Brian.
Yep, thanks, Brian. Have a good one.
What's up, man? Sorry, Brad. I think that call will take longer than an hour. We've got a 1 o'clock S&P call. Will that call take more than an hour, you think?
Well, I can see you after that.
We've got the work session scheduled right after this, but we can probably. We'll take a recess and we'll work after that. Work for your schedule. Yeah, we got to finish it. Yeah. Well, we can. We got a half hour to go. We got a half hour to go, so we can. Want to do it after the S&P call? We're gonna be up here. We're gonna be up here after the S&P call.
Yep. The weed law changed. Parts of the weed law changed this year. I think I've talked to a couple of you and I've sent some emails out too. Basically, what happened was they're in the process of updating the weeds, and in the process of that, we have two open laws. We have an administrative code and we have the old law. The old law is the weeds that nobody really cares about, and then those were created in 1920. I mean, back before we had, chemicals and stuff like that to control weeds. Polymer amaranth is the reason this came up. This was basically just something that accelerated the whole process to update and make things more enforceable. So they came up with this Class A and Class B in the administrative code from the Department of Ag, and so those are the ones that technically we're going to probably focus on more. The other ones are still in there, but I think the goal is to eventually rid those of the law. So, for legal reasons, as you guys have gotten indulged into this morning, you have to keep them both in there. I consulted with the county attorney; he's been very helpful, and that's what he has encouraged me to do, so that's what we did. So basically today it's just, this is the notification of noxious weeds for people to eradicate in our forest system and places. And it'll go in all of our, so basically I just need you guys to approve what we've done and go from there, sign off, and get it published.
I move that we approve the noxious weed notice of publication.
Second.
A motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the noxious weed notification, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben.
Need a motion to accept the third quarter auditor reports. I'll move to accept the third quarter auditor report.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Number 11. Discuss qualifications relating to farm to market roads. Mike and the guys look at it.
When you come back. Oh, here he comes. You're up.
Number 11, Mike.
Morning, Martin.
Discuss the qualifications of farm to market roads. We were asked by the straw board to find out if a service road on their property. Now you know the qualifications. You've seen like we qualify technically as a farm to market road, and so I appreciate you coming here to share it with the whole board. I know you gave us a bunch of papers on it earlier.
Yeah, so I would say, by the way the code I read, it has to be a contiguous road with our ownership. being on their property and being gated, I don't believe would qualify for the farm to market status. The way I kind of read that and understand it.
That's the way I understand it too. And farm to market roads are really goes to a board that's made up of county engineers that approves them or denies them.
Yep.
And so I think they're going to have the same thoughts.
Yeah, I personally don't think that would be considered a farm to market route by what they have proposed to do.
So I guess moving on, you guys have any further discussion on that? Moving on, you guys have had the meetings. I guess I'm not trying to keep moving along, I guess. I guess they've never formally asked us to formally accept that service road as a replacement for 220th Street. I thought we just both have a decision done so we can inform them. So it's on the number 12 on the agenda. To consider acceptance of proposed regional airport service road as a replacement for 220th Street. That's our consideration. You can take action on it. You want to accept it or deny it.
I make a motion that we deny it. Under the ground, do we own any roads on somebody else's property as a county?
No, not that I'm aware of, no. They're all easements to it.
How can we control that it stays open or closed down the road?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I wouldn't build my house on somebody else's property. I guess I'm building a county road on somebody else's property. That's my take on it, so that's where I'm at.
Okay, there's a motion to deny the service road as replacement for 220th Street. Any further discussion? I'll bring up a topic. I have an interesting concern. I know we've talked about closing some roads in the county, and I know they've shared with me basically get ready for public comment when you talk about closing roads.
Yeah, you may want to rent a larger room when you do that.
So I guess as we're talking about legislatively this body doing things, I guess this has nothing to do with the motion. My question of it is how in 2012 can this body, who was a different members then, force us to close or modify or amend roads? That's an open-ended statement. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from legally. When we say we're going to close a road, and 6 years from now, I don't think there's a body that comes up here and say we're going to reopen it. And so I'm not sure how this body 6 or 8 years ago can force us to either close or amend it. But that's my conversation piece of this. So, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consider financial responsibility for recoding 220th Street in Mahaska County. The last work session, the City of Oscos and Pella asked us if we would financially get involved with relocating 220th Street. And we're supposed to get back with them on that.
Well, I understand PND, we have no financial obligation building the airport. Whether it's relocating roads or anything else.
That's what I understand as well. Do we have extra millions laying around in our account, Mike?
No.
You want a motion on that?
We will need a motion.
I make a motion that we are not financially obligated to relocate or rebuild 220th Street.
Support that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Previously, we had tried to, hoping to finish up Burlington Road. And I know we had some discussion with the city too about South F. It's my understanding we're half responsible for the remaining part of Burlington Road, and half responsible for South Ave.
Yes, the way I read the 2080 agreement.
And so you've had communication with the city?
I've talked with the Keelish about Burlington Road, and he's well aware of our South Ave and the issues we have there too. And I know that from his standpoint, he would rather, if we're going to fix one or the other, South Ave would be where they would like to kind of target. Was the feeling I got from discussions with them. They didn't have funding available, extra funding at the moment, basically either project.
Is that for this current year? Or
yeah, that's for this fiscal year that they've just approved the budget for. So it would be the one starting in July.
So there's no money available. They're saying they have enough money available for the next 15 months.
Yeah. That was coming from a Keelish.
Was I like it? I mentioned that about this week, you got a question.
Just South Ave would probably be more expensive because I think we're going to be doing curb and gutter. And I personally I've never done a curb and gutter project. I don't know how price-wise those are. But I know Dave on the Burlington Road project, I believe he had estimated right around $500,000. So if we split that in half, $250,000.
But there's really not any having any discussion if you don't think they have any intention of moving ahead.
No.
Until they are have intention of moving ahead, it's just.
We may want to start discussion so the next budget,
Okay.
maybe there can be something in place.
We're having discussion now to make sure all of us are on the same page.
Right.
Because I can't tell you the conversations I've had without being in a public meeting to where we're at with all these. Because Willie the Rome and I don't know if he's present yet then, talked about finishing Burlington Road because University Park would like us to finish it. But it's really half the city of Oskaloosa's response. And so, responsibility, I should say. So that's where the conversation got a hold with our engineering department and the city of Oskaloosa's engineering department to see where we stood and we're ready to move ahead. And that's going to be a standstill for give or take 15 months.
Well, I thought we were going to move ahead with it 6 months ago, but it sounds like it's empty road block. Right, or am I missing something?
There's no funding from the other side, so there's maybe doing half the road.
Right.
I don't believe.
Yeah, I totally share that. And especially with the spring we've had, I think we need to redirect some funding. There's issues we're having with our gravel roads too, like we've been paving a new one.
Understand.
That's just my opinion.
We understand.
Yep, we have some work to do. Okay. Is that good to move on?
Yep.
Sally, Hardy? Windbreak, concerns?
Thanks, Mike.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
This is late as she ran in here, but brings the weed up. Shortening my time span in order to get done by lunch.
You want no timetable?
Well, I didn't know after I went on.
You waited to get your time, so.
Okay, well, I would like to start off with my sister's windbreak, and I would like to have pictures here.
Hey, Sally, can you sit down? The guy at the camera would like to film you so you can get on CRI, correct? Thank you.
This first photo was just taken this winter. It wasn't taken full up, but it shows that the native cedar windbreak was very full. This is what the windbreak looks after the county mowed the cedar trees. I would presume with a boom mower. And this photo is of all of the debris left in the ditch by the county. This ditch was always mowed. The windbreak is 40 years old. My sister, she established it back in '79, and the county has never maintained the right-of-way in front of her property for 40 years. and all of a sudden we have this issue. It's like native cedar is commonly used for windbreak in Iowa. The average windbreak life in Iowa can be from 70 to 100 years. And my sister will turn 70 in a few months, my sister Sue Ryan, and the lost windbreak value in her lifetime can never be replaced. Because it leaves it so that it's a complete hack job. I've talked to the district forester, and he would agree with that evaluation. The trees, as far as we know, there has never been complaint or any problem with a sight issue for the public travel portion of the road or other problems with this windbreak for 40 years. But it was probably ruined in 20 to 30 minutes. Damages would include the loss of the windbreak value, which includes increased propane costs from the winter, dust and noise control, loss of privacy from the road, increased erosion risk, decreased property value, and aesthetics for Sue. The ditch was left full of brush. The ditch had always been mowed. To leave the ditch with brush would present a drainage issue. The remaining limb stubs on the trees need to be properly trimmed back to the tree trunks with a chainsaw according to advice from the district forester. He also said the trees should live, but that they looked horrible after being mowed that way. I am here at this meeting on behalf of my sister because I talked to Steve Wanders, the first supervisor I discussed the problem with, and I had explained her situation. I gave him my contact number, and after a week with no response, I placed my name on today's agenda. It has to have it placed. And then shortly after, I received a call stating that her trees were in the county right-of-way. They were shading the road, preventing melting, and I was told that he had driven by on Sunday, March 24th. He had no answer as to why she was not contacted and given the opportunity to resolve the problem by having someone trim the trees appropriately. That was all the information I received. I felt that he thought I should be satisfied and did not need to attend the meeting today. I felt like I had been blown off. The answers were dismissive and unsatisfactory. I also believe he must have gotten his directions turned around. Her windbreak is on the east side of the road and did not hang over. Really, there was not much shading. He also did not have comment after driving past her home. Mark Gruendijk was helpful in directing me to the resource I needed to view at the courthouse on March 28th regarding this issue. Questions that Sue would like answered is, why were Sue's trees selected to be mowed? Was there a complaint about her trees? Was this scheduled roadside maintenance? If so, when was it scheduled? Who made the decision on when to mow Sue's windbreak? Was it a roadside vegetation manager? Was it the equipment operator? When was this decision made to mow these trees? Once the decision was made to cut, why was Sue not notified in advance that there was a problem with her windbreak? She could have hired a professional to trim the windbreak properly. Now she has to hire a professional to salvage what's left of the windbreak. If the maintenance is scheduled far enough in advance, there should have been time to send out advance notice of what needed to be done, when it would be done, and how it would be done. The notice should have provided an option to permit Sue to hire a professional if she didn't want her trees mowed. If Sue had hired someone to prune the trees, that would have saved the county money. She would have also had them clearing the ditch instead of being left with a pile of the mess that was left. If the county is using the tree and brush control for county road right-of-way, is the county using the tree and brush control for county road right-of-way manual? On page 107 of the tree and brush control manual, several reasons are given to notify the landowner before cutting. You might as well say, even though they were mowed, they're cut. There are limbs that are, they're only left this much, and it's not even cut back, and so they basically were cut. They're up to at least 3 and 4 inches, which my understanding is that is the maximum diameter that should be attempted to mow. So you were right at the max on that. We want to know why is the boom mower used to trim tree limbs above the ground? Is it considered safe for that purpose? We found debris up to 25 foot away behind the trees that were mowed. It certainly makes a mess of the branches it breaks off. Does the operator check to ensure there are no homes on the other side of the trees before pointing the blade of the mower at the trees and house? Are there different trimming procedures for deciduous versus evergreen trees? It doesn't seem like the boom mower is a good tool for trimming evergreens. Evergreen trees tend to only grow foliage around the tips of the branches. Once you cut off the growing area, the foliage does not want to grow back. Is the county going to clean the piles of debris left in the ditch after the trees were mowed? I had asked that question, and I had advised Steve that we did not feel it was our responsibility to clean that up. If we had actually had the trees trimmed ourselves, we would have taken that responsibility. So if Sue had hired someone, she would be responsible to have it cleaned up. There hasn't been a problem until now, so it seems like the right-of-way requirement must have changed. When Sue's windbreak was planted, what was the size requirement for the right-of-way in 1979? What is the current size requirement of the right-of-way? If the right-of-way has changed, when was the right-of-way requirement increased? And were older windbreaks now within the expanded right-of-way not grandfathered? If not, why was Sue not notified that her windbreak was now in the right-of-way and needed to be trimmed? This seems that a prudent person would not be thinking that when you take any actions at age 30 years, that 40 years later, you necessarily are going to know it's going to end up being a problem. And so I have a section out of the right-of-way manual for counties, the section 7 of the IRBM, and it is entitled Getting the Public Involved. And through it gives information on when landowners should be notified, under what circumstances, and I believe that my sister's situation fit that criteria. She did not, if there had been any problem, she would have been willing to take care of it. And in conclusion of this situation, I would say the windbreak issue never had to happen. Common sense and good communication would have provided a positive outcome. Sue would have not had her windbreak ruined, and the county could have saved taxpayer money. I am addressing this in public because perhaps it will save someone else from enduring a hack job near their home and a ditch full of debris. I believe that there is a policy issue here, and there is also a communication issue. And I thank you for your time on this part of my presentation.
And I did not blow you off. I contacted Ed the next day. You contacted me. He's our road boss. So he was notified of the problem. I went by and personally looked at it, and I tried to call and explain to you what had happened, or what goes on.
Well, I guess when you deal with the public, I guess it's a matter of perspective. Maybe you think you are communicating one thing, and maybe the other person.
You know,
so it's a communication
and if we
thing.
have to change your policy, sometimes it's a learning curve. So,
right.
But I did run it. I didn't just blow it off.
Well,
so, would you agree to that, Ed? You did. All right. Thank you very much. So.
Okay. The next issue that I would like to present is Sue's Rock Road, and she had requested rock for her road approximately March 11th and March 21st, Holton Avenue connecting with 295th Street. The road finally received spots of light surface gravel along with a light salt shaker sprinkling here and there. She does not normally ever request rock. She's maybe requested it 3 times in her life. This is not something like she's calling in and constantly complaining about her road. Bolton Avenue and 295th Street are in need of reshaping, as are many county roads in the rural part, at least. I guess at least over south of the Des Moines River, and I would say also over around the county farm area and west. And so she has, the reason why I'm mentioning county farm west is because normally when I try to visit my sister, I cut through from Highway 92 past the county, what used to be the county farm. And I tried to go see my sister, and I mean, it was ridiculous. I got past the county farm. It was horrible in a car, and I just, I turned around because I wasn't sure if I would have any way of making it on down. Apparently a truck or something had bottomed out. There had been some oversized rock put in, but then no one had bothered to run over it and to pack it into the roadway so that there would now be perhaps a sub-base so that other rock could be dumped over the top and then no one would be going through. So for Sue's Road, in several places the crown is high enough cars could bottom out, trying to avoid getting stuck in the ruts. Ruts are deep enough. It does not allow for water to drain off the cross-section onto the foreslope. If this problem is allowed to go, the road will continue to become deeper, as will other roads in Mahaska County. With field work approaching and heavy equipment and trucks on the roadway, there will be no way to hold these roads. Every time it rains, we'll be back to square one. No gate. Due to the road condition, Sue's had to pick me up in Bussy, and I've rode out with her, or we've had to meet in town because she did not want me to end up with car repairs. Nor did I want to end up with that. Driving a four-wheel drive vehicle should not be a requirement to travel wet periods in rural Mahaska County. Does Mahaska County have a 5-year road maintenance plan or any plan for rural gravel roads? No one Sue and I have talked to seems to understand the hit-and-miss rock dumping approach, with several roads never seeing a spread of rock for years. This appears to be an ongoing the ongoing approach Mahaska County has decided to use. If no changes are made, your roads will continue to deteriorate with each passing year. And I would refer you to the Gravel Roads Maintenance and Design Guide, the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, October 31st, 2015. And I have the website listed. So, in conclusion, I would like to say my sister started out asking for a little bit of rock. Then she ended up, she had gone to a doctor's appointment and came home to find that her trees, as far as the windbreak, have been ruined. And this is something that I guess all of this could have been the road situation. I realize that there are a lot of you that this started before you were in office here, but this has been an ongoing issue. I know you can't change it overnight, but I think there really needs to be a lot of work done to get the roads all up for everyone in the county, not just certain places that I guess Steve's gotten compliments about how good the roads were. I guess my sister and several people that live around in her area and trying to cut through different ways to my sister. I guess I think those residents would disagree, but I think the problem is too many people have decided it doesn't do any good to come and talk to you because a lot of them don't feel that things happen. That's kind of the way it works. I'm not saying it to you guys, but I'm just saying a lot of people have that impression about going to the Board of Supervisors, and they would rather grumble in private and not speak up. So I would like to thank you very much for your time and consideration on this. I believe things could have been better for the windbreak, and we hold out hope that perhaps the road situations for everyone in rural Mahaska County will improve. Thank
Well, when
you.
you called me, I called Ed about the rock too, the same day, didn't I, Ed? You went out and looked at the road.
Just for the record, we talked about buying a brush cutting head since January of last year. And it was scheduled to be budgeted on from July. We're buying a big machine for a brush head to remove the brush out of the right of ways. So we are buying a machine specifically for that. And we're also, I think we're looking at an ordinance of passing that really encourages the landowners to keep the brush and to be out of the right of ways. So we don't have to.
Well, I can very much appreciate that, but I think you can appreciate that it doesn't seem prudent that when you're 30 and you plant trees, that it's going to be a problem when you're almost 70. And these trees are in line with the fence row that adjoins her. So, I mean, back in 1979, I'm pretty sure that it was within code at that time.
I'm sure it was planned on your property in 1979, but as they grew for 30 years, did the branches grow too?
I couldn't tell you what the branches were, but they were not in the roadway. It was not causing.
But they are today. They were today. And so, if you go back to our code, and this board, like you talked about doing maintenance, we're established by the code to maintain the right of ways, free of obstructions and interference with business sites.
Okay,
and so, when the Iowa code, and anybody in this room is the same way, whether I plant a tree, and I plant a tree 2 feet from my neighbor's fence line, that tree's not going to hang over I plant it hanging over the fence. And 15 years from now, when that tree is 20 feet tall, and the branches are hanging 10 feet over the fence line, that neighbor is allowed by law not only to cut the trees off straight up and down the fence line, but also to dig down and cut the roots off that are growing on him, on the adjoining landowner.
I am familiar with that.
And so, we are planning on intentionally, we're going to go out and mow brush. We're going to clean up our right-of-ways. We've got big ditches. The main thing is right now, when you talk about Ford Avenue, south of County Farm, I drive that road. I understand the frost bills there. I drove road Saturday, it made me sick.
that's a good road in our county compared to some of what we're dealing with.
Well, I drove on her road yesterday, and it was horrible. So, I mean, I guess it's a matter of perspective of what is a bad road for her. I mean, Fulton Avenue goes nowhere. I mean, you either have to go up to 290th Street, or you have to go over to 295th Street, because, of course, Fulton doesn't make the full loop. But before her road got so bad, the school bus always went through on her road, and semis would prefer to go past her road, because if you take 290th Street the way it is, with how all of the brush has been completely cleared from around the entrance to the cabins for easement access, it has created a terrible problem, because there has been a lot of erosion. I understand it was a wet winter, and but at the same time, the ditch on the north side of that is getting deeper all the time, and nobody really wants to have to pull out too much when you're meeting traffic, because it is so muddy and everything. Nobody wants sucked into that ditch, because I believe it's getting deep enough that it could be labeled an unrecoverable slope, which is where, once you go off the road, likely you will not recover, you will reach the bottom. And along that road, that to me is a safety issue. There are kids that have school permits that drive, and the school bus goes along it too. So I mean, I know the school bus and semis don't really care to use that if they can cut through on her road, because it's safer than dealing with that.
Ed, Mike, do you have any comments?
I guess I thought we wanted this to go really to go to jail and keep things safe. I see no problem with that difference. Especially talking about it from the South Church, because we got an excellent building. That's what we want. And the roads you're talking about, it's not a road, you put the shoulders and cut off the road so the water can get off of the road and drain into the ditch. It can drain from the ditch down into the river, and the water needs to run. And as far as your road being rock, you can tell yourself how bad it goes by the Eastport Avenue by the county farm. We prioritize where the problems are. Unfortunately, we have 800 and some miles of gravel road that, frankly, there's not a single one of them I'm proud of this year, because the community has been very hard on a gravel road. When you get 60 inches of snow in November with the road thawed out, the chance to see a little hard on the gravel road. That water, and the roads are already saturated from the fall of the rain. All that water is saturated in these roads. And guess what happens in the winter? Simply the roads freeze, and now we got all this ice in the road. And now this ice is trying to get out of the road, which means it's coming up, and it's heaving the road, and makes it impossible to drive. Let alone try to repair. We've been trying to repair these roads. In fact, we have to do more damage repairing them before we get to these spots. And I'm not keeping your road as well as you fast roads. I just saw the other day in my pictures, there's no crosswalk, it's got good drainage. Yes, it may not be rock perfectly, but you can drive it pretty well. And you should be driving through it to drive that road. I drive all the roads, and we have to prioritize where we go. We looked on the roads Friday night, up till 7 o'clock. They've got one way in. Guess what? They couldn't even get there.
And it's still not a very good one way.
And we destroyed 4 miles of road trying to get to that road. So, trust me, this job is no fun this year. I wish I could make every road in this county perfect. I know how to do that. We know how to maintain roads. People say we don't, but we do. First of all, it's saying people should be patient. We can't control Mother Nature. Mother Nature controls us. Mother Nature can make us look pretty stupid. When she has it, she's not that we're stupid. just that we can't control it, that's the way. And people give you papers, there's still frost in the road, there's still that frost that's on the road, there's not too much you can do. So, you're not the only one to complain. We've got, I don't know, 500,000 phone calls, people complaining. People just need to listen. We can't be everywhere at once. And we have faults in piles. I mean, we have run rock stories out of them. And I'm not kidding you. Rock stories have ran out of stock. So, even if we don't haul rock, I like to really see how much we haul in one day.
Do you stockpile rock in the winter?
Yes, we do. And you know how long the stockpiles last? Maybe 2 days. We haul that less rock.
Would you agree then, since you said rather than do more damage on the roadways, would you say that county equipment, unless it had to be on the roadway to do something, that if it's wet, that perhaps it should not be on the roadway?
You know what? We just said exactly what needs to happen, but the public is not paying enough for that to happen. Luckily, we should have just been stockpile rock ever since the snow melted. We should have been hauling rock to stockpiles and staying off of these roads. But you think the public is patient enough for that to happen? Well, it's pretty demanding. And just like you said you run in the rock and you're kind of upset that it hasn't happened.
Well, I guess with trying to ask you that, I guess to me that the machine that went by and beautified my sister's view from every time she goes in and out of her driveway or to the mailbox that she has to look at, that was done while the roads were not in good shape and everything.
That was done when the roads were frozen. No, we were not. Yes, the roads were frozen. That is why I'm not about this. But I do have a question on the brush. I've got pictures as well. Can you see your 911 sign looking through south, looking into Lincoln?
Here.
Can you go? Answer my question, please. Can you see your 911 sign? You have it. Can you see that sign?
That was how it was when they put it in.
I'm pretty sure your lights for 911 and then when you were hospital. They're coming to find out if you have an emergency.
Well, I have looked at it and I was going to get that addressed, but as you know, weather causes issues. And I guess to me, it would have made more sense had my sister been contacted, and like I say, she would have taken care of it right away. She's had a tree she's had taken out.
And I will apologize.
To make it safe.
I'm looking back on it, I wish I would have. Because like Mark said, the county is addressing our road signs, our right of way. There will be brush cutting. And if we will be people that are upset, and I apologize, I said I do apologize. It's our county right of way, and anything.
Okay, we've got to do that too. We're just talking in circles. We need to keep moving, so thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
You guys can see that ditch out. I don't really feel that's my responsibility.
I think we talked right away. I don't think it's going to be a damage to the cars or site or anything else now. So, I mean, it'll be up secondary roads if they have the manpower and time to do it right now.
So in other words, you're going to leave all the branches in the ditch.
I'd say that's where it's probably going to be for right now.
How would you like that in front of your house, if I can ask?
Sorry, in front of my house, I do trim the trees and I do it all myself. I don't wait for the county. So.
As I said, I would rather trim the trees, but it was a time to trim them.
Well, unfortunately, like I say, we've never really seen the county trim in front of maintaining clearance of brush. And then the fellow from home and she
things are changing. That's all I want to say. Mike, we need to approve G71 paving. Thank you.
copies of the bids. Sue can have one too. This is kind of a new way that we have to do this now, so where we sign everything on the computer anymore.
This is for G71 East half.
This would be from G71 to the Truax corner.
From 63 west to the Truax.
Indian.
We've got 3 bids.
Yep, it's 3 bids, with Norris Asphalt being the low bidder.
We're just going to include a mat like we did on Glendale.
Yeah, we'll put that under it. Put 10 inches of rock under it.
Is that part of this? Is that in the quote here?
The mat, we have to purchase that ourselves.
Okay, I knew we had to on G71 also.
Proprietary product and state.
Okay, so that's going to be on top of this bid.
Yeah, that's estimated like 150,000. Quote me, so I'll have it in front of me.
Okay.
That would be additional.
We got the bridge down there that you can get given to us.
Yeah, the broken concrete from this project is the stockpiles for riprap to use on that bank. If we have leftovers, then we put a project together around the bridge and the campground. That was the plan, to use broken concrete.
You need you're needing approval of signature on this contract.
Yeah, you need to, I guess, verbally award it and approve it. And the way we used to previously do it, you would actually physically sign the contract, but that doesn't happen anymore.
Right. Yeah, sign it for electronic. Okay, so we're going to need a motion to approve North Asphalt bid for $4,487,166.41 for G71.
I make that motion.
Support.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. The signature and final pay voucher for project phone number market 60629355-62.
This was the Glendale paving project that was completed last summer. And we just need the board of chair to put a signature on the final pay voucher. The final cost of that project is $4,926,000.
And that road's holding up pretty good for the first 9 months, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess we're going to repeat the same thing on G71.
Yeah, right? G71 will have a little thicker rock base under it just for the increased traffic that it carries.
Getting more drainage.
Yep. And it's got G71 already has existing sub-drain on each side.
Okay.
Tile in the road.
Do you think we need to look at putting the tile in the middle of the road? From the hill to the bottom?
No, not at this point.
Okay.
And I think a lot of that grade is the sandier soil too.
So we need a motion to approve and authorize signature on the final pay voucher.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Do you have to have a copy?
If you want one, I'll make a copy downstairs.
Approving authorized signature for Title VI documents for Mahaska County.
There's Sue and myself met with DOT several weeks ago on our Title VI policy. Basically, if we're receiving federal funds from feds, we have to have a Title VI policy in place. I am named the Title VI coordinator. How that happened. It's been that way for years. And there are several documents that need the chairman of the board to sign. You're more than welcome to read through them if you're forward, but, or if you want to just approve it and you can sign them later, or you want to do that.
You gentlemen.
I move to approve and authorize the signature entitled 6 documents in Mahaska County.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Consider Mahaska County local disaster declaration on March 20. Civil Government got in contact with me. Got this next day was the deadline to apply for local disaster declaration and the President's Declar relief. And so just so you know, I went ahead and signed it on the 20th. The closing was the 21st. Secondary roads think they possibly could have $100,000 or more damage on our road system dealing with flooding and ice dams, and that's covered under the President's Declar relief. $82,000 is the threshold you need to break even point. So,
At the time he was asking for that, we still had some stuff got over several roads, so really couldn't get it accurate.
Hard to see.
Yeah, hard to see when it's still underwater. So.
But I went ahead and signed it, and I think the whole board should be approved, should be voting on approval and moving forward with the disaster declaration relief.
Yeah, hopefully by the end of this week we'll have a lot better estimate on what our damages are. And a couple roads got damaged pretty good, and some of them are as bad as I anticipated.
I move to accept and approve the local disaster declaration.
Second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. We are set to go into closed session for Iowa Code 21.5J dealing with land acquisition for radio system towers. It's been a morning. I want to propose to you guys, we've got supposed to meet with Brad Ryman for a work session. We've got a 12:45 appointment for an S&P call. You know, reschedule the closed session so we have time for everybody else, or how do you want to do this? I don't know about you, but I know Sue's had some things last month, and I think she's looking.
Can we do it in a work session? Can we just have a work session to do it later in the week?
It's got to be an open session. It's got to be a public meeting to go in a closed session.
We can do it later in the week.
We can reschedule it if we want, or we get to moving forward with it, or we've got a lot of things to get done this afternoon also.
I do know if you have another board meeting later this week, we may have another item to add to it.
I don't think we're going to get everything done this afternoon, so I'm thinking I move we scratch or postpone or table the closed session and reschedule.
Okay.
I'll clarify that. I'll move we table the closed session for today. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Public comments. We made it to the end.
I was going to order Jimmy John.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Opposed, same sign. Thank you.